Hello and welcome to my GTA Tightened Thrice all missions guide. This guide will be showing you all 73 missions in the mod, how to complete them with reasonably consistent strategies. It's not going to be a speedrun of any kind. There's going to be cuts because this mod is quite random and sometimes you can fail in silly ways. So do excuse me, but it'll show you a mostly efficient order on how to complete the missions and not miss any of them because GTA 3 has missable missions. And also it will showcase all of the missions, but 69 out of 73 have been modified. 4 of them are untouched, which are the RC van missions. We'll get into those later, but I'm just doing them anyway, just for the sake of showing you how to complete them, just in case you don't know where they are or how to complete them anyway. I'll also be detailing all the differences in each and every mission that has been modified compared to the vanilla game. And also, this is on patch 1.6, which is the newest patch as of recording this on the 10th of April 2023. But it's currently being worked on as we speak. So obviously keep in mind that this might be slightly outdated by the time you watch it. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into it.
I know a place on the edge of the red light district where we can lay low. But first, let's find a change of clothes. My hands are all messed up, so you better drive, brother.
So as you can see, there's immediately a change as we start off. You immediately have a wanted level as you begin. And instead of just taking the Kuruma, this car, straight to the safe house, you actually need to go and track down a Mr. Wong's laundry van, as the text says there. And you need to go and grab it, and it should have a change of clothes inside. And as soon as you steal this van, this will actually activate the Triads, the sort of gang who wear blue that are in the southern side of Portland, to be aggressive to you for the rest of the game. Which, you know, is very fun, a very big change to start things off. A whole gang wanting to kill you from the very start of the game. As you can see, it's already complete chaos going into this part. With the Mafia guys and everyone else fighting each other before we even sort of get to the first part of the intro sequence. It's also worth mentioning that the mod does have a couple of changes outside of missions. For example, Claude can now sprint infinitely and with any gun. The traffic has also been completely rewritten, so it's a lot more hectic. What else has been changed? All of the weapon pickups, health pickups, armor pickups, cop bribes, etc. have all been moved. All of the hidden packages have new locations, all of the rampages have new locations, all the stunt jumps have been moved, and things like that. So yeah, pretty much nothing is as you remember it when you play through this mod.
I know this guy. He's connected. His name is Luigi. Me and him go back, so I could probably get you some work. Come on, let's head over there. This is Luigi's club. Let's go around the back and use the service door.
So this first mission has a bit of a sort of ambush slash trap slash whatever you want to call it. Very similar to Toughened if you've played that. There are Triads waiting for you at Misty's location, and also once you get into her range, Misty starts running at you immediately. So the best thing that I found to do is to just run over the first guy, and then you can sort of come back and run over the second guy on the way while Misty's coming towards you. I'd also recommend grabbing these SMGs from these guys, because obviously you're quite limited in your weaponry to start off, so any, you know, bonus weapons that you can pick up from enemies is always going to be better. We will eventually get to a point where we have pretty much unlimited weapons of every kind, but we're not nearly at that point yet. So for this next mission, you don't need to grab the bat or anything like that. You won't fail like you would in Toughened. This one is a little more forgiving. The dealer, instead of waiting at the docks, is actually driving towards you on this road here. And you still have to steal the car away, but you can't actually harm the girl inside. Luckily, he just kind of sits there, so you can just walk up and hijack him. He does have a shotgun if you want to run him over and take it. It's up to you. As I say, you can never have too many weapons to start off with. So the biggest thing about this second part is that after you pay and spray the vehicle, you've got to be really careful, because if you crash and cause any sort of collision damage, you know, hitting a bumper or scraping the door or anything like I did there, you'll immediately fail the mission on the way back. You can crash as much as you like now, doesn't really matter. But as soon as you pay and spray the vehicle, don't crash it into anything, because you'll instantly fail the mission. As I think the fail condition is something like, you know, Luigi's girl doesn't trust you anymore. So yeah, be careful for that one. Usually in vanilla GTA 3, the ambulance at the hospital here is locked 30% of the time in Portland, and the cop cars are locked 60 and 70% of the time, depending on which one you choose. Thankfully, in this mod, very similar to Toughened, they're always unlocked, so you can take them whenever you like. So a cop car is always a good choice, as it gives you 5 shotgun shells, and it's one of the fastest cars in the game. So it's always a good choice to grab. For this particular mission, though, that we're going to be doing next, you definitely want the ambulance, because if you use a cop car to pick up Misty, you'll fail the mission because she thinks you're a cop, and that's no bueno. This is also a great time to mention that this game has an autosave feature. So as soon as you complete any mission, the next time you're on foot, you will get an autosave in slot 7. So if you flip your ambulance, like I did, then you can just reload the autosave and try again. We'll be using this a lot throughout the run, so keep this in mind.
I had it on a combo. What am I gonna do?
So there is a cop car that's sat waiting for you. It's very much a bait. Do not take it, because you will fail the mission the second you hit this marker. And also, for any speedrunners out there, definitely don't do the strategy where you get out as you hit the horn, especially in an ambulance, because it will get you killed. Very much do it the intended way here. It'll give you more time. Because here is going to be an ambush. If any of you have played the Toughened mod, you'll very much get this reference, I'm sure.
Luigi now, huh? It's about time you got a driver we can trust.
It's Misty's exes, Lineator and Eidgod, who were the creators of the original Toughened mod, if you're not too familiar. As soon as you gain control, drive out of the left side, you should have just enough time to sort of cut through, and then you can sort of take the scenic route around here and cut through. The tank, you know, the tank AI is cracked sometimes. They might follow you through there, but from what I've seen, this is pretty consistent route and still fairly fast to get to your destination. If you try and head out the right side, then you will get absolutely nuked, so don't even try. On this particular take, that tank spawned on that corner. I have no idea if that's scripted or if it just sort of rubber banded towards me, but I never saw it on any other attempts, so no clue what happened there. It could be a scripted one that I just missed the other times, but yeah, watch out on that corner, because you might get screwed there as well. So this next mission for Joey is only available from 5 AM till 9 PM, and as you can see the time changing at the top, we're actually not on time for the mission due to all the time of day changes because of the autosave. Because when you save the game in this game, it advances time by 6 hours. But we're not going to do Joey's mission anyway, because in terms of an efficient order, we're not doing like the most efficient order in terms of speed when it comes to missions, but I'm going to do my best to essentially do one mission chain at a time, because that means that you can never lock yourself out of any missions if you do the correct chains at the right time. So what I mean by that is I'm basically going to do all of Luigi's missions at once, all of Joey's missions, then all of Tony's, etc., etc. Because if you do too many of the, you know, the sort of intended chain, which is Joey's mission now, then you might lose Luigi's missions later because these are missable. This mission is far easier without 2 stars that I got by accidentally bumping a cop, so you should have a much easier time than me. But yeah, as you can see, the usual Diablo Stallion has been swapped out for a Hood's Rumpo, which is like a big van. It's a lot faster, and there is also, because it's a van, there's more people inside with shotguns, so very much be careful there. Because we entered a cop car and grabbed it at the start, we also get 5 shotgun shells, and the shotgun is very overpowered. That's why the enemies have them in this mod. But yeah, so be sure to use the shotgun as much as you can. Say, you shouldn't have to deal with the cops here, so it should be a little easier, but the mission isn't too bad. These guys seem to just get out one at a time, so you can just sort of hop around and kill them all. Not too difficult. This also doesn't seem to be documented anywhere, but as you can see here, the wanted system is very clearly modified as well. As you can see, I run over somebody, or I think 2 people, after getting 3 stars, and I immediately get a 4-star wanted level, which is completely ridiculous and, you know, isn't intended behavior in the original at all. So there's definitely something going on there in terms of, like, the little crimes you have to commit in order to get a higher wanted level, but I'm not sure on the specifics. So definitely have a fast 4-door car ready to go before you start this mission, as 4 minutes is not a lot of time to complete the objectives, especially considering that you now have to grab all of the girls. Whereas in the original game, you only need to grab 4, I think, out of 8, and any more, you just get bonus money for doing it, I'm pretty sure. Something like that. But yeah, in this one, you have to grab all 8, so a fast 4-door vehicle is pretty much mandatory. I wouldn't recommend going this route either, just take the road. This is not faster, and it almost got me killed. But yeah, the route doesn't matter too much. If you have a cop car, you'll have more than enough time as long as you're a semi-decent driver. Just watch out for the Diablo Stallions that are also coming after you. I definitely don't take the most efficient order to pick up these girls. I'm being completely honest, my knowledge of the optional missions in GTA 3, aka like, you know, non-any percent speedrun missions that you do, is pretty limited. I've obviously completed the game quite a few times through, but I'm not too familiar with the most optimal ways to do a lot of these missions. But, I mean, you know, on the other side is that this is good proof that you don't really need to know the most efficient ways to complete a lot of the missions. You know, all you need to do is just sort of be decent. You know, you don't have to be crazy good at the game to beat this mod. And you just need to, you know, do a bit of preparation for some of the missions, especially later on, because obviously the difficulty spike is quite apparent. But yeah, this is just as simple as, you know, even if you take a bit of a weird route, as long as you sort of do your homework, get a fast 4-door vehicle, you'll be fine. Next up are going to be Marty Chunks' hidden missions. They don't even have a marker on the map, so I'll show you where to find them. They're only available from 9 AM until 7 PM, so if your time of day isn't correct, then just head to the safe house and save your game. You can find the first mission and all subsequent missions, as long as you're at the right time of day, by the ringing phone next to Joey's place. So usually these 4 missions in the original game are very dry because they're basically just drive to point A and then come back to point B and then go to point C and the mission passes. But as you can see, the cars have been updated and there's a little extra spice to these missions that makes them quite a lot more interesting in my opinion. Usually in this mission you'd be driving a Perennial, which is one of the slowest cars in the game, but Instead, it's one of my favorite cars, which is the Sentinel. And the guy that you're coming after, the bank manager, has actually been kidnapped. So you need to rescue him from these guys. One of the easiest ways to rescue him is you can either do a pit maneuver, if you're familiar with that, which is just this, to get them to stop. And you can just sort of... The bank manager will get out straight away. These guys don't really attack you. They're supposed to be aggressive, but they're not really an issue. As you can see, he just runs away from me. So, yeah, you can just pit maneuver them, get out, and they'll stop. You can also just like ram them into a wall or anything like that. If you need health, now's a good time to grab it while you're near the hospital. And then just drive back, nice and easy.
Get your hands off me up!
So now this is exactly the same as vanilla. You just need to get rid of the evidence by taking the car to the crusher and destroying it. It's very easy to do. Whenever you come to the crusher, you can just grab this pony and just use that to drive. There is also a Banshee in the showroom. This is a vanilla spawn. It exists in the original game as well. Just to the left here inside the car showroom. So if you're ever looking for a fast car and you don't necessarily need a 4-door one, you can just come and either hit the glass with a car or just shoot it here and you can gain access to one of the best cars in the game. So the second one is a very similar formula. Usually you just go and pick someone up, take them back to the factory, and Marty kills them and turns them into dog food. Only this time, again, different vehicle. This is actually a new vehicle that's exclusive to the mod. Well, exclusive to non-vanilla GTA 3, I guess. Yeah, and then we take it to go and see the guys that we need to go and, take to their dooms. But it turns out they're actually in a current fight with the police, and we need to be their impromptu getaway driver. So once we get involved in the whole getaway driving process, you'll get a 3-star wanted level from the police. And it's very important that when you take these guys back, you get rid of your wanted level first, because if you don't and you take them back with the 3 stars, then you will fail the mission.
Response to 1011 and central deadline. Unit 1081 and central deadline.
So it's important to be vigilant to the text, because as you saw at the bottom there, it tells you to shake the cops. It doesn't actually, the mission doesn't look like it requires you to do so, because the marker, as you can see, I kind of got a bit confused. The marker is telling you to go back to the dog food factory. But yeah, we need to stop by the pay and spray on the way. Luckily, it's just down the road. So I accidentally bonked the police car there, which does give me a wanted level. So again, if I were to go and finish the mission now with that 1 star, I'd probably still fail the mission anyway. It probably just checks if you have a wanted level or not. But with 1 star like this, eventually it will expire. So if you do bonk the guy the same as I do, or like run over somebody and get 1 star by mistake, then just start heading back anyway, and your wanted level will more than likely expire before you get back. If not, just wait a few seconds extra until it goes away before you head into the factory.
Easy there, partner. Whoa, put it down. Come on, put it down.
Alright, so we're halfway there. 2 out of 4 done. This next one with Marty's wife is extremely simple. It's probably the easiest one of the lot, I think. All you need to do is just go and pick up his wife, and she has another lover. I don't know what's going on with the whole family tree here, but it's not really important. We're just here to do our job. And once you pick her up, a guy in a Patriot will be chasing you. He's very easy to avoid. All that I do is I just hit the new ramp that's there in the alleyway that I'll show you in a few seconds once I go and pick her up. And if you hit that ramp, 9 times out of 10, he'll try and hit it as well, flip or spin out or, you know, any of the above that allows him to no longer properly chase you. And then you can just drive back to the factory, no problem.
Marty wants to see me. Well, it better be quick because I have.
The hell are you doing?
Oh my God.
Piss off!
Yeah, so it's this ramp here, just to the south in the alleyway. As you can see, he did his best to try and push me, but even with him doing that, he still went over and is a complete liability. So now you can just head back. The only other thing to remember when you're going towards the end of this mission is you have to dump the car once you get back to the factory and she's killed. But he will come after you again, so he'll respawn and he'll start trying to fuck you up again a second time. So while you're disposing of the car, just keep an eye out for him, because obviously if he runs you over or something, you're dead.
Patty. Stop!
There he is from the grave. But again, he's no real threat. I checked behind me to see where he is, and he's nowhere to be seen. You can leave him in the dust so quickly. So, quickly dispose of the car. All that you need to do is just take it down to the docks, and just you can push it off by sprinting into it. Just make sure you don't accidentally drown by mistake. You can drown, and the mission will still pass. Like, if you just drove off right now into the ocean, the mission would still pass, but obviously you'd die afterwards. You can do that if you want to, but there's no reason to die. You know, it's a very easy mission, just pushing it off. And then you keep all your guns and stuff like that. So for the final one, we're going to be heading to the bistro. And there's quite a big gunfight here, I'm going to be completely honest with you. And I barely sort of scraped through because we don't really have many, you know, weapons, especially long-range ones. So if you're not confident in your sort of combat abilities, I would recommend saving this mission until later. You can do it at any time. It's not missable to my knowledge. So even if you've sort of unlocked the later islands, you can always come back here. But, you know, for the sake of consistency and efficiency, the best time to do it is now, really. But, you know, you can sort of see the footage, see for yourself. If you don't think you can get by, or it's, you know, you're dying too many times and it's annoying you, then just come back to it later. But yeah, we need to head to the bistro. These guys have AKs, so you want to make use of your Uzi because it's sort of like your only really long-range weapon. And then use the shotgun that you have to take out the guys from sort of mid-range. So even though this is more of a long-range fight, this guy here, I'd recommend using the shotgun because as you'll see, I'll run out of ammo very quickly. And those guys up there do quite a lot of damage. Try and grab the AKs if you can, and then just sit behind this sign and sort of pick them out as you go. But yeah, you're going to be very careful with this one. That was a huge mistake. Don't do that. It almost got me killed. Do not, you know, try and get on a vertical level with these guys. It's a horrible idea. And once these guys drop their AKs, make sure to go and grab it from the wall, because their ammo will do you a lot of good. These guys, you can only shoot their heads. It's a little tricky to hit the shots because the AK bullets don't go through the fence. But this guy you can just get nice and close to because he can't shoot you because the fence is in front of you. And then once you got Mr. or Mrs. Chunks' lover, then you just need to drive him and get out. When you start, you know, departing, you will also get chased by more Leone guys, Mafia dudes. So just watch out for those, but they're not too much of a threat. As long as you've got the bloke here with you, you're pretty much smooth sailing from then on.
I need more time to get your money. But if you just step into my office...
It's far too late for that, Marty. You had your chance. But now, I'm taking over the business.
Loser!
Alright, so we're finally back to the main quest. Joey's mission, remember, it's only available from 5 AM until 9 PM. So again, head to the safe house if your time of day doesn't quite line up. So, as you can see, there's a couple of things with this mission. The timer is a lot more strict. You only have about 2.5 minutes to complete the whole thing. And by proxy, that basically makes it so if you scrape the car that you're about to go and deal with, you would usually have to go and pay and spray it. In the original game, you would have enough time to go and pay and spray it. This time, you really don't. So, very important that this Idaho, you do not scratch it. In the original, there was, I don't know exactly how it works, but essentially there was like a custom bit of code or something that made it so you could take a bit more damage before the mission script would consider it like, actually damaged. But that doesn't exist in this mod. So if you scrape it even the tiniest bit or hit a pedestrian or anything, something that you think wouldn't usually damage the car too much, you'll be forced to go and spray it and then you'll run out of time. So it's very important that you do not collide with anything. As you can see, the mission also forces rain upon you as well. So just keep in mind that your brakes won't work, quite as you expect. Make sure that you start hitting the brakes way earlier than you expect. And you'll slide about a bit, especially when you're on the grass. The final gimmick here is that there's a lovely surprise for you when you get back. There's actually a van parked where, they've stolen your parking spot, essentially. So you need to get it and move. I'd strongly recommend moving it just to the left here, just so it's out of the way and you don't have to worry about it, and then you can park this car in its place. Also very important, when you leave, once you arm the bomb and leave here, make sure you sprint out like onto the road as I do. Because if you try and hang on the path, which I usually do because that's where I park, you can sometimes avoid the trigger to get this cutscene to play. And even though you've done everything correctly, you won't hit the trigger for the end of the mission, and then the time will expire, and the mission will count as being failed because you've run out of time, even though you didn't do anything wrong. It's a bug with the vanilla game. It happens in the original as well. Probably goes without saying at this point, but, sort of going forward, before every single mission, it's always recommended to get at least some health. We'll be getting armor as well as health later on because we'll have easy access to it. But all the armor Portland spawns that the armor spawns that I've found in Portland are all kind of a pain in the ass to get to. So just get some health for now. So Chunky is out making deliveries. You can't really kill him here. He spawns in a modified sort of hot ring racer, as you can see, and he drives like a complete psychopath. So use your shotgun that you've got from the repeated entry of cop cars, and do your best to kill him. If you don't kill him, then at least try and make sure that you pop his tires. Because he already drives like an idiot anyway, so with pop tires, he won't last much longer. As you can see, he's sort of driving all over the place. And be careful of the Triads, because also, as you can see, I almost got fucking wrecked there by the Triads. But yeah, he flipped himself over in this case. That won't always happen, but if you keep chasing him, shooting with the shotgun, he'll go down eventually. Definitely heal before you start this mission. I almost get killed for being greedy and, well, lazy and not healing. You definitely want some health for this, because the van in Tightened Thrice that you're going to be stealing, it actually has 2 cops with AKs that are guarding it, and they'll shoot you down. So you're going to be very careful. You can ram into it. You will get 2 stars, so it can be quite a big problem. As you see, I face tank this guy. Do not do that. Do as I say, not as I do. That's the usual way, right? But you can also park vehicles that are on fire, you know, like this, and just sort of park it nearby. This is very risky, but it does quite a lot of damage to the van, as you can see. But just be careful that you don't also get set on fire and blow up like this. Yeah, sometimes taxis, you see there, taxis have 2 people in them now for some reason. I have no idea why. So if you hijack it from the passenger side, you'll just get immediately hijacked back from the one on the other side, the driver. So that's why I stopped hijacking from the passenger side, if you were wondering. But yeah, once you've rammed enough and done enough damage to the van with explosions or whatever, then it's telling you to take it back to the lockup, but you should go to the pay and spray first. Because again, if you take this back with a wanted level, you'll fail the mission. So just make sure you go and pay and spray it first. And be very careful driving over that, because you can flip and blow it up. So yeah, be careful. So now that we've completed Van Heist, we've actually unlocked the blue payphone missions, which you can find in Hepburn Heights, and we're going to be completing those before we move on. This mission says prepare for a real challenge, but it isn't particularly challenging. The only difference is that, well, the races have different cars and so do you, because you're forced to drive an ice cream truck. Honestly, there isn't really a lot to it. The only piece of advice I can give you is get into the ice cream truck as soon as possible when you go to start the race, because there's a lot of triads that will attack you and they might pop your tires if you're not careful. And obviously doing this with popped tires is 10 times more difficult. But the race itself isn't particularly hard. The only thing that you need to do is just make sure that you keep top speed as much as possible, which sounds stupid because of course you want to go as fast as possible. But what I mean by that is try to turn as little as possible, because the ice cream van has really terrible acceleration. So if you get an opportunity to stay at max speed and turn later, it's a lot more, you know, efficient in terms of like race routes or whatever, rather than turning and then building up to that maximum speed again, because it takes quite a bit longer to get back to the top speed once you start turning. So yeah, if you do end up having to grab your own Mr. Whoopi from the fixed spawn that spawns in this mission, just keep an eye out, because he does have a gun and will attack you, whereas usually you would just hijack him and he's a regular pedestrian that will, you know, flee. He will attack you, so just, you know, don't get caught off by him. But either way, grab the briefcase and, you know, either get the ice cream van that spawns as part of the mission, or just take this one that you're driving and driving it all the way down to Atlantic Keys across the map in a very slow vehicle, which is very boring. So here, once you pull up, you just need to park into the marker, and the guys will spawn in a different direction. So you need to trigger the jingle, then head out, and then you can just run and spawn kill them. So there's 2 guys here, and then there's 2 guys on the other side, as you can see, that are coming towards you. But you can just kill them. Once you kill them, the mission will pass. Don't grab the ice cream truck, even if you didn't activate the bomb. The bomb is activated on ignition, so if you get into that truck now, it'll just insta-kill you. I found that out the hard way in my casual playthrough. So Trial by Fire is one of the first instances of the really cool like interiors that have been used for this mod. You'll see what I'm talking about when you go and try and grab the weapon pickup that's down south. It's inside the Raffles Fish Factory, and the interiors are all like completely enterable now. Again, make sure you have maximum health for this. If you can grab some armor, if you found it and you've got a decent location, then great, grab it. If not, just make sure you have full health. Because when you go up here, there'll be a set of Molotovs, and you'll have 2 minutes. There's a guy who spawns with Molotovs there, so make sure you kill him. And then below you, a bunch of really well-armed Triads will have spawned. So you have 2 minutes to kill 30, I believe. It's not too difficult. Just, again, be careful, because, yeah, these guys have... Some of them have Molotovs, some of them have shotguns. As you can see, I get set on fire here. But there will be a big group of them as you spawn in. As you run out of the building. So all that you need to do, a pretty consistent way of doing it, is just, you know, throw a Molotov at these guys. They won't be particularly aggressive towards you. Just make sure to not die to the police. And then drive away, and then come back again. And a lot of more guys will spawn here again. And then you can just throw more Molotovs at them. It's not too difficult. I just made it difficult because I accidentally set myself on fire while doing this. But yeah, see, there's big groups of them, and you can just launch a couple of Molotovs and you'll be fine. Nice and easy. So, final blue payphone mission for this island. There isn't too much to it. It's the same concept. You're driving the van and picking up the magazines as you drive along. The key difference is that you need to collect every single one of them, all 106 on the route. Obviously you should try and get them all anyway, even when playing vanilla, because it gives you an extra second on the timer. But yeah, just make sure that you collect all of them. If you miss one, you need to go back and get it, otherwise you'll fail anyway. And the enemies don't have their weapons swapped out, so usually their weapons are nerfed during this mission in the original, so they're not as much of a pain in the ass, but that you don't get that luxury here. So yeah. Certainly do not do this mission later on when the Mafia guys are aggressive towards you, because as you drive up here, you'll just get nuked by shotguns, and you'll probably be killed instantly every time you try and attempt it. So this is why I'm giving you this particular mission order, so that you can do as much as possible before the gangs start becoming a real pain in the ass. Once you mow this guy down, you'll get 2 stars. You don't need to worry about potentially failing the mission. You can go back with a wanted level here, so don't worry about it.
Response to 1073 in South Red Light. Suspect in a dark van.
So next up is the first of 4 RC missions. This one is just opposite Tony's place. Very easy to spot. And as I say, these missions aren't modified in any way. They're exactly the same as in the vanilla game, and they're extremely easy to do. But I'll just give you a quick rundown just in case you're not familiar with them. So you have a 2-minute time limit, and all you've got to do is blow up a certain car. You only need to get 1 point. The intention of these missions is that you can then, you know, set a high score and then compete against that high score over and over again. But you only need to complete the mission once for it to count. So all you need to do is just blow up a Mafia Sentinel, those grey cars that I just blew up there. And that's it, end of the mission, nice and easy. The one that I blew up originally in that clip is a fixed spawn. So you don't have to worry about, you know, potentially getting unlucky and getting all of them to spawn. Ignore my terrible parkour here. This here is the second one, just on the north side opposite Hepburn Heights, just down the road from the Banshee spawn that we were talking about earlier. This one you have to destroy a Diablo Stallion. That one doesn't have a fixed spawn, so as you can see it took me almost a minute to find one, but it's the black stallions with the flames on. You'll spot them pretty easily. And yeah, just set a high score, and problem solved. 2 missions done. So in this mission, we're gonna pay the Triads a visit with Tony as normal. Just be careful because obviously the Triads are extremely hostile at this point. So be careful when driving through Chinatown. And once we actually go and pay these guys a visit, we're gonna need to do a nifty little stunt jump to get to the new location of where the mission finishes. So I'd recommend turning to face south, so then we can drive away, you know, promptly after Tony pays them a visit.
It's a Triad ambush. Get us out of here, kid.
According to the developer's notes, there are extra Triads that chase you during this section. I never noticed them. Sick flip, by the way. But yeah, so if you end up like crashing or something, just keep an eye out. That might have been one behind me, actually. That might have been what I was looking at. But they're not really a threat. Don't worry about it. Just make sure that you hit this particular stunt jump here as hard and as fast as you can. And try and aim towards the right-hand side, because if you hit the ramp and go off to the left, then you'll miss the trees. There's a big set of trees that sort of are intended to sort of break your fall. I get lucky here and I actually like undershoot it, but you see the trees behind me there. That is what you'll usually hit. But yeah, I got very lucky on this stunt jump. I should have really drowned on this attempt.
Their own blood-stained clothes.
And once you finish the mission, don't worry too much if you think that you're stranded on the island or anything. You can just grab this boat here. You can't warp into it for some reason, like when you're just stood on the jetty there. But you can just walk onto it and then get in it. And there is a new jetty that's just to the east side here. So can get off nice and easily and don't need to worry about it. This jetty will be used for a later mission, but we're not quite there yet. So now we're going back to Joey. These missions are missable, so this is why we're doing them right after. And this mission has a little bit of a trick to it. So first of all, this mission has rain. You know, classic staple of Titan/Toughened mods at this point. Just rain makes everything all the more difficult. But, so if you've ever tried to do this mission in the vanilla game, you can actually spot the Forellis that are going to try and attack you as soon as you get in the target vehicle. And you can destroy them, like, ahead of time, right? And as you can see them on the left here. And we're actually going to do that again. So, this car here, you want to push it a little further forward than where it is. Because otherwise, when you get in it, it's going to spawn some platinum, which is going to weigh down Claude. So then you want to hop on this rock and then blow these guys up. Just obviously make sure you don't stand too close, otherwise you'll get knocked over, like I do both times. But yeah, kill these guys. It does give you a 3-star wanted level, which sounds bad, but trust me, it's way easier to deal with 3-star cops than it is to deal with those two guys. But yeah, as you can see, the platinum spawns, but it spawns where the car originally was. So if you just push it out the way, then your car doesn't become much heavier, and this becomes a lot easier. You still have to deal with the shitty steering. The car kind of has a mind of its own, which can be a pain in the ass, especially with 3 stars. But honestly, it's not too bad. Your other option to prevent having to deal with the steering at all, or the police, is that you could push the car all the way to the crusher before you even get in it or trigger anything. But that would take so long, it's really not worth it. So, I don't think you'll fail this mission if you just go straight to the crusher, but it's way easier to just go to the pay and spray first to get rid of the cops. It's just down the road here. Now here again, you can grab the pony, and it's time to get ready for, depending on how good you are at flying the Dodo in GTA 3, this might be the hardest mission. It's also an optional hidden sort of off-road mission, so don't worry, you don't have to complete it if you just want to complete the mod. But it's a mission, so we're going to do it. I deliberately sort of faced away there to try and get it to spawn in with the save. So then if I had to take multiple attempts to do this, then I would have, you know, the save ready there, so then you can just load it and run to the Dodo. Because if you try and make a save right next to the Dodo, it won't spawn in and you'd have to drive away and come back anyway. So thankfully this mission clears the weather, because otherwise doing this in rain would be a huge pain in the ass. But yeah, 5 minutes, 15 checkpoints. You got to fly through them all with the Dodo. You don't have to do them in any particular order, and you have more than enough time to take your time with it. So it's absolutely possible to just, you know, do it all in one go, but it's pretty tough, and I'm not that good at flying the Dodo, so I'm going to show you the way that I do it. I find it a lot easier. The first thing you want to do is back all the way into this corner, because it'll give you a lot more of a run-up, so then you can take off. It's worth pointing out that if you don't have any clue how to fly the Dodo, I'm not going to teach you how, because it is extremely complicated and it takes a lot of practice, just to get it, you know, sort of off the off its wheels, so to speak. But there are, I'm sure of it, YouTube guides out there on how to fly the Dodo. So yeah, this isn't going to turn into a Dodo flying coaching session, but yeah. So these first 9 are pretty simple, but then I'm not going to fly under the bridge for the 10th one. Instead, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to slow down as I do it. So I'm gaining a lot of height, which causes me to slow down quite a lot. And then I'm going to turn around, and then I'm going to go for the next couple of checkpoints. And every single time that it requires me to get really low, because obviously low is where you get all the momentum. So you'll see here, like, I start gaining a ton of speed when I start going low, and that's when the controls become very hard. So then as soon as I get to that point, I'll then do the same thing. As you can see, I have 2.5 minutes on the timer. I have infinite time here. So I'm just going to keep taking my time, do it one checkpoint by one checkpoint, and then just slow down, get a nice run up. It is super annoying that the Coronas only appear once you actually get close to them. So there, like, I almost missed it because I couldn't even see where it was until sort of the last second. But yeah, of course, it's preference. If you want to just do it all in one go and just, you know, kind of fling yourself at it and see what happens, then go for it. But, you know, for me, this sort of, you know, calm and collected approach is a lot better for me. I much prefer it. So yeah, same thing again here. Because at this point, you've done all the hard work. That one under the bridge is probably the hardest pickup to do. So why, you know, why mess it up for yourself when you could just take an extra 30 seconds and make sure that you don't beef it? That one we just picked up next to the trees is a real kind of bait and switch almost, because there's actually like a radio tower right behind it that you can barely see when you're coming in at quite a lot of speed. So just make sure that you pull up as soon as you hit that target, or pull to the right or the left or whatever. Just don't go straight forward, because you'll smash right into it. Yeah, and then these two last ones are fairly simple. You can grab them both at the same time. And then you're done. Congratulations if you managed to get through this one. It's a tough one. So the final Joey mission is the Getaway. It's the bank heist mission. It's available from 6 AM until 2 PM. And you should definitely have a fast 4-door vehicle ready to go before you start this mission, because the timer to get to the bank, or I suppose to get to the robbers and then get to the bank, is extremely tight. You have until 5 PM. So as you can see, I have about 50 seconds. So there really isn't time to be dicking around getting vehicles and stuff. There is a bug that can happen here, which basically one of the guys in this cutscene gets stuck and takes a lot longer to get to your vehicle. And that just is just an instant mission fail, because it's impossible to do it while losing 20 seconds. As you see, I'm pretty close to not making it here without the bug, and, you know, pretty much driving optimally, and also, you know, I've preparing the cop car ahead of time, and I still only have about 15 seconds to spare, even less, so. Yeah, if you get that bug, just restart. It doesn't take too long, thankfully. So this is another mission where if you have a wanted level at the end, you will fail. So it's very important that you just go ahead and get to the paint spray as soon as you can. Now, this is another situation of do as I say, not as I do. So when I was recording this, I didn't actually know, but you can actually pay and spray cop cars or any emergency vehicles. So what you should do is you should just go and pay and spray this cop car immediately. You know, usually in the vanilla game you wouldn't be able to. But yeah, just drive it straight in and problem solved. But here I switched to another car for no reason, because I didn't know at the time. Yeah, there's an enforcer blocking you, but you can just go in through the right side. It's a bit of a pain to get in and out, especially with the cops and stuff being a pain in the ass. But with a cop car, you'll go right in. It's only because this car is slow that makes it a lot more difficult, but yeah. So there's no need to do this. You can just go straight in with the cop car. And that will apply to a couple of missions later on as well, because I was around halfway through recording this footage when somebody told me, oh yeah, in this mod you can just paint spray cop vehicles, and I was like, well, fuck me, I guess. And that is it in terms of time-gated missions, so you don't need to worry about the time of day anymore going forward. You can access any mission at any time, as long as you follow the route that I'm taking here. So now we can just go straight to Tony's. This is more continuation of the main storyline, main missions. This is the classic 3 vans mission. And this one, you definitely want to use grenades for, because it says they're bulletproofing their vans, so a gun isn't going to do a whole lot. The grenades that the game intends you to use spawn at 8 Ball's place, so just go and grab them. And I'll show you a little strategy to make this really fast and consistent. So once you find your first van, all that you want to do is you want to park in front of it, but face away from the front of the van, because these guys like won't be aggressive towards you or anything. So let's say park facing like this, and then throw the grenade, and the grenade will set them on fire, but it won't blow them up straight away. And then you can just drive away with a fast enough car, and that will allow you to keep your car. You know, you can block them in the road, but you won't blow up your police car at the same time. So you can keep the car through the whole thing. It's much easier than having to get a new vehicle every single time, because you lose your car every single time you blow up any of the vans, which is a pain. So there's another little trick after this mission that I'm going to show you, and we're going to be using this a lot throughout the playthrough, so it's a good time to learn it. So the autosave that comes along when you complete every single mission that stalls into slot 7, it doesn't actually happen until you exit the vehicle, if you were in a vehicle when you last finished a mission. So what you can do is you can deliberately only get out of the vehicle next to your next mission, so then you get a free save that's right here. And also, if you have a wanted level at the end of the mission, because some missions don't remove your wanted level at the end in this mod, then you can just get out of the car, the game will auto-save, and then you can load the save right away, and you'll immediately lose your wanted stars, because loading a save loses the wanted level. So yeah, it's like a double whammy. You can have a free portable save right next to your next destination, so then you don't have to drive back and forth from the safe house every single time you want to attempt a mission. And then not only that, but also you can remove like really long annoying wanted levels. And it's very useful for this mission, because this mission is a huge pain in the backside. It is very inconsistent. There's a lot of fighting, guys with big guns, etc. So right here, you might recognize this place. This is where we were for trial by fire. But this time it's guarded going in, so you gotta be careful. The police can be a huge pain in the ass as well, so just watch out for those. But yeah, there's guys with shotguns around like pretty much every corner, so check your corners. Again, fucking police. There's a guy in this corner. I killed him because he decided to run out. There's a guy in that back corner there. There's a guy up the stairs. They're pretty much in like every corner you can think of, so you gotta watch out. There's a guy on the left side with a shotgun once you turn this corner as well. I think that's everyone. But then, oh no, there's a guy down the stairs as well. Brilliant. See, this is what I mean, you're gonna watch out. And then as soon as you grab the briefcase, more guys will spawn right next to you, so you're gonna be very careful. A very important trick here is to, as soon as you gain control, double tap your camera button, which for me is V. And as you can see, it sort of resets your camera, because usually the camera would do like a slow zoom back to Claude, and you will just get destroyed during that zoom when you can't see anything. But if you just quickly double tap V, it can save your life, like it did to me here, because you can immediately see what you're doing, and you can run out of harm's way straight away. If I hadn't have used that trick here, I would have died 100%. It completely saved me. And now here, you don't need to worry about the wanted level. You just need to get back in one piece. So just run out, get whatever car you can. Preferably one that you've left nearby so you don't have to steal one from the street if you're on low health with 4 stars. But yeah, just get back to Tony's as soon as you can. We'll abuse the autosave thing that I spoke about before to get rid of the wanted stars, so don't worry about that. So Salvatore's called a meeting is very normal up until you pick up Tony, which is the last guy that you pick up out of everyone. When that happens, as you'll see, you actually get hijacked by a triad who then tries to kidnap everyone in the limousine. So now you have to go and stop the limo without destroying it or anything. But thankfully it drives to a pretty easy location to deal with. So you've been hijacked. There is a Mafia Sentinel across the road. It's a little risky to get to because of the vans, but I'd say it's worth it because the car is very good. And then all you need to do is head straight up north. This limo drives all the way, the same way every single time. And they'll stop in the scrapyard and you can just hijack them. Something very important to note is that the people who are defending Sal's mansion are not defending it, attacking it rather. They have a blockade there, it's the Triads. It'd be very weird if they were defending the mansion. But yeah, if you try and hop in here, they have big guns like shotguns and stuff. So I wouldn't recommend it. Instead, what I would recommend doing is heading further south, and then you can go around the back of these buildings. As you can see, I'm getting absolutely fucking railed here. Yeah, if you go left just after this building here, you can actually go all the way around, and it's much safer than trying to blast through the barricade.
You did good back there, kid.
Me and the fellas need to talk.
So this mission has a number of changes. The first one obviously being the Maria's ghost car that you can see. It's a bit bouncy, but it's better than the limo. It's a lot faster, which is nice. And instead of going to near the waterfront, we're instead going to go to Hepburn Heights because Chico has an apartment here. And we're going to go and see him all the way to the top floor. When you meet Chico at the top, you need to have Maria with you. And if you just sprint around in circles, she'll try and path directly to you and get stuck. So it's important that you make her run up the stairs like one by one with you, otherwise she'll get stuck. Also, make sure you hold your sprint key, because it'll make her sprint towards you as well. As you can see, even if you do that, sometimes she'll just fling herself off and fall down trying to get to you.
my favorite lady. You're looking for some fun? A little...
So as soon as you finish the dialogue with Chico, you'll actually be ambushed by Diablos that'll be waiting for you down the stairs. They're very easy to kill, they're not really any threat, you just gotta keep Maria safe more than anything. But yeah, once you complete this mission, Diablos will actually be aggressive to you for the rest of the game. So, brilliant. Another gang that's gonna want to kill us at every single opportunity. You can just ram through this barricade. So these guys are no threat to you. And then now we just need to head to Atlantic Keys, and the rest of the mission plays out pretty much as normal. The only difference is that you get a higher wanted level when the cops raid the party, but it doesn't really make a difference. So here Maria should run towards you. She wasn't for me, she was stuck for some reason. But as soon as I got out the car, it sort of like reactivated her AI or whatever. And we were able to just about scrape away with it. But yeah, that shouldn't happen to you. I don't think that's a very normal thing to happen. But then, yeah, just drive back as normal. Nice and easy, not really too much to it.
I enjoyed myself for the first time in a long while. You treated me really good with respect and everything.
So in the original version of GTA 3, there is always a fixed taxi spawn that you can grab just to the west here that I'll show you. And you can actually drive to where Curly Bob is going to be picked up in the taxi. And you can actually pick him up yourself and drive him there. Like, it's sort of like an Easter egg solution to the mission, I guess. Like, it's not an exploit or a bug or anything, because the game has different, like, text telling you what to do depending on whether you're driving him or whether you're just tailing him. I tried to do that in this, but I wasn't quite fast enough, because apparently Curly Bob gets out the club way, way quicker in this. So, it might be possible to do, I don't know, but even if you are too slow like I am, then you can just chase him, or not chase him, but like tail him as normal. Just be careful if you do end up tailing him, because he can get spooked quite a bit more easily now, so you have to remain, you know, quite far away. But there's no upper limit on how far away you can be, so you can just stay like here if you want to, and just AFK until he gets to the docks. It doesn't make a big difference.
Our little friend, Mr. Big Mouth himself.
So yeah, remember when I said that this dock was going to be used for a later mission? Here it is. Curly Bob is going to be flying away in a speedboat, and you can just go ahead and run down and grab the police boat, the Predator, whatever this thing is. Yeah, it is a police boat. And it has guns attached, so you can just hold your shoot button and gun him down. I don't know why, but Curly Bob's AI is like super geeky in this. He just kind of drives around in circles, which just makes him really annoying to kill. But yeah, just gun him down and that's mission done. So a good meme happens here, and a cautionary tale. Just be careful with the autosave, because right here, I actually die. And the autosave also kills me. So I try and pull up here, and I thought that I would get teleported to the docks if I hopped out here. Because usually when you're near a jetty, if you land in the water and there's a boat nearby, it will actually teleport you to the jetty. But I guess because the stairs were blocking me, it stopped me from teleporting. But then also because I was last on a vehicle, oh sorry, the last time I exited a vehicle after completing the mission was in the water, you know, where I would be stood on the boat despawns from me loading the save, and I just spawn in the water. So I'm pretty much forced to take the death. I could have reloaded the save, but it's kind of whatever. My coping mechanism is that when you die, you actually get a new outfit, the Wasted Opportunity outfit. So this is basically me telling you that it was a tactical death, and, you know, it was just to unlock this super secret outfit. Copium. It's worth mentioning that regardless of whether you die or not, you can actually get a convenient armor spawn, finally. Well, it's not really super convenient, but it's convenient enough to be worth grabbing, I would say. If you just hold sprint and jump across here, you can actually grab it on the way. That's just on the docks where you were at the end of cutting the grass.
Oh, it's you,
I like to kill these guys. There isn't any particular reason. They can just be a pain in the ass when you're doing this mission usually. But they only have Uzis. They don't have AKs like in the original, so you can't really farm guns off them or anything. But yeah, so this mission is pretty interesting. You got a pager from Tony just then with like a really cryptic clue on where to find the spawns, because only one group of Triads are actually, they only appear on the map. So we're gonna go and get them first, and then we're gonna go to the Cryptic location. Luckily for you, your super intelligent friend, Ben, has figured out the solution for you. Yeah, so just grab a car, shoot this guy from over the wall. You would usually need to get a fish van to open the gate for you, but that's so much effort, it's not worth it. And then all you need to do is just head around to the west side here, and then head through this tunnel on the left. And as you can see with the Triads, you know, defending this place, they must be defending it for a reason. And that reason is because this is where you need to go. So you can kill the guys on the way, get their weapons and stuff. And then this is another very interesting use of interiors. I believe the developer said that these were unused from the original GTA 3 like multiplayer plans or something. It was like a sewer level. But yeah, they've been reused for this. Just blow up that van on the left to get it out the way, and then fight your way through the crypts. Well, the sewers, the crypts, and the bank vault, I think it is, something like that. It's kind of like a mismatch, but who cares? It's cool. It's worth pointing out that in order to pass this mission, you only need to kill that one guy that you shot over the wall, and then the one guy that's at the end of the crypt here that has a blue arrow over his head. You see, these guys don't, because they don't really matter towards the mission completing or not. And then the same on the other side where the bank vault is. So if you could figure out a way to, you know, sort of remotely kill those two particular guys, you could skip having to fight through this whole thing. Just a random shower thought for you speedy boys out there. Be very careful when heading around this next corner, because there's a guy right there with a shotgun. And also, these things have really weird collisions. The hitboxes are massive. These, like, two... what do you even call them? Like, little bits to the left and right of the stairs. They have really weird hitboxes, so just be careful. Yeah, a lot of shotgun guys that are all sort of camping every corner, so... yeah. But yeah, once you're done, just head back out, and off we go. So, Blowfish is pretty one-dimensional. There isn't really too much to it. The timer has been decreased, so now you have a lot less time to get there, but that's not really an issue if you take the correct path that I'll show you. The Trashmaster also can take a lot more, can take a lot more. It can take a lot less damage before it explodes. So, you know, crashing is more of a problem. But again, if you're careful and drive, you know, somewhat safe, then there isn't really that much of a problem. As you can see, you only have about a minute and a half, but if you take this route, you'll mostly be fine. There is increased traffic and pedestrian density, so, you know, more cars and stuff will spawn on the road, more pedestrians, more chance to be shot. But you don't really get shot in this because you don't really go in any particularly dangerous places. And there's rain, as you can see. You know, rain is always a classic. And once you blow up the factory, you get a 3-star wanted level, but we can just abuse the autosave to get rid of that. The only thing that you might want to consider at the end of this mission is when you load the autosave, it will despawn all the vans inside that you can usually take to drive away from the compound. I would still say it's worth it, but if you want a fast getaway car to get away, then the van is a good choice. The only other thing to keep in mind is when you activate the bomb inside the fish compound, don't stay near the building, because if you survive the damage, you can get stuck underneath the roof and you'll have to die to get out, because there's no way to get out, to my knowledge.
Should take these Colombian bastards.
So Bomb the Base is a very interesting one. There are a lot of changes when it comes to actually, you know, dealing with the mission. But, you know, we've got to do a couple of things first. The first thing is that you can actually jump all the way down to 8 Ball's place. It's a lot faster than going around. And you also need $100,000. I don't know if it's changed in this. I haven't really looked into it. But you need 100k in the original to start this mission. But then you'll get 150k back once you complete it. So it's pretty difficult to not have the money for this. Because, you know, like, especially doing all the other missions, like, you have so much money. GTA 3 gives you so much. But, you know, if not, just do some missions and come back. But as you can see, you also get a pager from an unnamed assailant, and we're going to go and pay him a visit first. So once you hit through this tunnel and cut through, usually you would go right here up these trailers, but we're going to go left instead. And we're going to go all the way around to the beach. And when you get a bit further on, you'll notice that there's actually a boat waiting for you. And you can take that boat, as the pager suggests, to the lighthouse and meet a very special cameo. And yeah, if you head up here, here's...
How you doing? I'm Tommy.
What the? Don't waste my time with fucking sniper rifles. Where's the fun? This looks like the right tool for the job.
The one and only Tommy Vercetti in GTA 3. Ain't no way. But yeah, grab those rockets. They're going to be very useful, not just for this mission, but also for the missions later on as well. Yeah, so you don't want to use them too liberally, because we're going to have very specific uses for them, especially on the next island, before we get really, you know, better equipped with M16s and what have you. So, in terms of the actual mission itself, this one is going to be quite a tricky one, but if you follow what I do, it should be significantly easier for you. So usually 8 Ball will only start moving towards the boat once you actually fire the first bullet. And, you know, so you have time to get ready. That's not the case in this. He will just start running away immediately. And also, as you can see, there are so many guys on this boat. Like, there's over twice as many, and they all have insane weapons. So what you want to do is you want to immediately run over 8 Ball, but don't, like, hit him with your car, because that will kill him. Just slowly push him like that. Then grab the rockets, shoot that big group up there, and blow up these 2 cars. Because this will kill, like, the huge group in front of you. then run straight up, and you can snipe these guys or use the AK. It's completely up to you. And just use your health as a resource, because obviously we're going mission by mission, so 200 health is more than enough to tank these guys. And it's way better for you to take the damage than 8-Ball taking the damage. That's the most important part. So as you can see, these guys aren't really any threat. They do a little bit of damage, but you can just go through. One of them actually spawned behind me. I guess he survived the explosion from the rocket. That only happened to me this one time, so just, you know, keep that in mind. You can grab the AK ammo if you want. We're not really going to use the AK during this playthrough. And then, yeah, once you're done, you're good to go. Just watch out for the police, because obviously they can shoot you quite a bit. They were hounding my vehicle, so I chose to not go near them. And yeah, this mission is quite a bit easier. You'll get 5 stars at the end, so just make sure you load your save. And then you can also get the armor, like before, and just grab that to heal for the next mission. So it's finally time to finish Portland. This is the last mission we'll be doing here. We will return later on, obviously, for narrative reasons, but this is the last, like, you know, mission of this segment, I guess. So, in the original, the cheater that you're being sent to go and clean up for Sal is a trap, and this is where you get betrayed by the Mafia. But usually in the original, Maria sends you a pager like this and says, hey, come to the boat. The problem is the boat is also a trap in this mod. So we actually need to go to the Dodo plane, all the way down, I can't even think of where exactly it is, but it's all the way down southeast near the docks. So yeah, you can just take this route and then you see the marker changes as we go. So this is where it kind of gets tricky, because if you were around for Oh No Dodo before, that's obviously an optional mission, whereas this is a mandatory one. And this one, as far as I thought, requires you to fly the Dodo across to Staunton. And that's obviously a problem, right? If you don't know how to fly it, then that's a huge obstacle. But I did speak to the developer, and apparently you can just drive across with the Dodo now. So if you can't fly the Dodo and you get in it here, then just do your best to drive it, sort of taxi it across. Just make sure you don't go too fast, because then you'll start gaining height and you'll start flying. If you are flying, there isn't really much to this. You can really safely land near where the marker is going to be. So all you need to do is just fly due west and head north underneath the bridge, and you'll see where I land. It's a very big place. You know, you can just throw yourself down there. Even if you crash, it doesn't matter. So yeah, just hop in and problem solved. The Dodo can be very bouncy. So you can land if you want to. You don't have to crash land. You can land properly here. There's more than enough room. But, you know, crash landing is pretty consistent too. So, Sayonara Salvatore is usually quite a complicated mission in the original, because it's all based around the, like, time of day. But in this mod, that isn't really a thing. So you just need to be quick, okay? And when I mean quick, I mean quick. I mean no detours. Like, you follow this route and you'll be just about there on time. So the mission text is a little bit bugged, even on newest patch. As you saw, it said, like, you know, Sal is going to leave at 9:01 or something. But all that you need to know is just get there, like, as soon as you can after 9 o'clock, and you should be fine. So head across the bridge, and we're going to use one of our rockets here that we kept from Bomb the Base. If you don't have those rockets for whatever reason, you can chase Salvatore down, because usually the sniping spot where you would assassinate him is very difficult to get to and not really worth it. So you can deal with the guards and then chase down Sal, but you'll have a big wanted level, and it's a huge pain in the ass, but it is doable. So this is why I'd heavily recommend just keeping the rockets. This here is 9 o'clock, so it says that, you know, the guys are coming out. But don't worry, you haven't failed. You still have enough time. So you just need to quickly get your ass down to Luigi's. And if you go around the back of Salvatore's, then as you see, you get a 3-star wanted level immediately. But as you can see, that shotgun guy there is where you want to be. So just take him out. Head through the alleyway. There's a couple of guys here, so just be careful. And this actually leads around to Salvatore's place. So blow this car up, because why not? You've got time to kill all these guys. If you lose your vehicle, it's not really a big deal. Kill these guys, especially that guy, watch out, because he's got an M16. And then, yeah, just do your best to kill these guys. They're not particularly threatening. One more guy. A guy had a shotgun, so watch for him. And then, as soon as you kill them all, Salvatore will be leaving Luigi's. wait until he puts his hand on the door handle like that, and then blow up the car. Because if someone is interacting with a vehicle or inside a vehicle and you blow up the vehicle, it will kill them instantly. So yeah, now you can just reload your save and off you go. So we can head to the Staunton ammunition on the way back. This will be our basically infinite armor source and infinite weapon source. You don't really need to worry too much about armor and weapons because we're going to have so much money by the end of it, we'll be good to go. Also, really quick little note before we start the next mission. You should grab a Mafia Sentinel after completing Sayonara Salvatore and drive it back and store it in the Staunton garage. Because otherwise, you'll have to grab one later during a King Courtney mission. And this will just save you quite a bit of time because it will save you driving to Portland and back twice. So, under surveillance, this mission is pretty difficult. As soon as you kill any of these guys, you will immediately gain 5 stars. And the guys that were usually in the park, the 2 dudes, have been moved all the way to the top of a building that you'll have to fight your way through. So, because the mission will end as soon as you kill all the guys, I would heavily recommend leaving that building until last, because otherwise you'll have to waste time coming back down again to fight the next dudes. So, I would heavily recommend coming to the casino first and dealing with these guys. And I would also recommend parking your car right next to where the, like where I parked it here, basically, so that you can go and grab their M16s as soon as you're done shooting them. Because the quicker you get over to the M16s, the more ammo you'll get. I actually get really unlucky in this segment. This is by far the lowest amount of ammo I've ever received. But yeah, when you kill these guys, they drop their M16s all the way to the ground. And usually you should get like at least, 100, 200 rounds or something like that. And I got like 30 or something ridiculous. So yeah, jump down and get into your car straight away, because you can see you get 5 stars here. So very important to just get the hell out of there as soon as you can. Because you can see, even with preparation, I get wrecked here. So yeah, there's 2 M16 pickups, I think, total. Usually you get like 4 or 5. So yeah, I really don't get a lot of bullets at all. But you should get a lot more than me, unless you get very unlucky like I did. And you'll be able to use it for these next set of missions. Whereas I don't have that liberty. But on the bright side, it means that I can show you, if you don't get the M16 ammo, this is what you can do instead. So now you just need to head through with 5 stars, do your best. As I say, FBI can be very random. They are completely cracked in this game when you have 5 stars. So head through to the west, and then all you need to do to blow this van up is the same as usual. You can just M16 it or throw a grenade. It's completely up to you. It doesn't take a lot of damage at all. And then kill these 2 guys. And then this is the building that we're going to need to fight up. So pretty much every other staircase, there's going to be a guy waiting for you, as you can see. So if you sort of peek them and use your crosshair to your advantage, you can shoot them before they really have a chance to shoot you. Some of them have shotguns, so they will fucking destroy you, so just keep that in mind. As you see, as long as you keep your distance, you should be mostly fine. Just don't peek out too far like that, otherwise you'll get wrecked. In this final section, there's a guy waiting for you at the end of this corridor. And at the start, apparently. I forgot about that guy, so just be careful. These 2 guys are done. And then kill these guys that you can see. Some of them you can't see because they're in really cheap positions and they'll try and hit you. So, for example, as soon as you turn around, there's one on the right-hand side that you can't really peek unless you walk into the room. You see there? So instead, just throw a grenade into the building and you should kill them. And then you can reload your autosave to get rid of the 5 stars and pick up HP if you need it. There's also a hidden package there if you want it. So next up, before progressing with the main storyline any further, we're going to go and do all of Kenji's missions, because they are also missable. If you complete Waka-Gashira Wipeout, it's obviously the mission where you kill Kenji. So then you'll no longer have access to his missions because, he's dead. So for this mission, you need a cop car that's rigged with a bomb. I have no idea how that didn't give me a wanted level. Something to do with hitting them from behind, I think. Something like that. It's dumb. Anyway, if you see a police car on the way, then obviously grab it. It's more convenient. Or just head to the police station, which is where we'll be heading to soon. And there's a fixed spawn there that's always unlocked that you can grab. Rig it with the bomb at 8 balls. It's right next to ammunition. Sorry, it is near ammunition as well, but it's near the pay and spray is what I meant to say. So pretty easy to do. And the big difference in this mission is that once you blow up the hole in the wall, the guy that you're supposed to be saving has already been taken away by like a prison escort or transport, I guess. So you need to go and bust him out of that instead of the actual jail cell. So there are 2 ways to enter the police station. Which one you do is completely up to you. One is a little bit faster, but it also can be kind of annoying. Also, yeah, grab up on armor and stuff if you haven't already. Let's say for every single mission going ahead now, I would always make sure you have full health and armor, because otherwise you likely will die, especially if there's a lot of combat involved. Because yeah, obviously this mod's quite tough. Anyway, yeah. So when you enter the police station, you can head through the car park where the undercover vehicles are, and then you can just like cut through to where the fence is. But you have to make like a really awkward 90-degree turn. So instead what I'd recommend doing is just heading down here. And then you can come up straight to where the gate is just by turning right at the end here. It's a lot easier. It's a little bit slower, but who cares? We're not doing a speedrun. For some reason now you can actually hear sounds of people fighting in there. I have no idea if that's actually a thing in the original or not, but yeah, whatever. So you can grab that enforcer if you want the armor, but I'd recommend just getting straight into the cop car and driving off, because, say, the police transport is already going, so we need to get him as soon as possible. This is the first, like, big reason why you should definitely play on patch 1.6. That's not the first reason, that's not true. This is a big reason why you should play on patch 1.6, because usually this guy drives like a complete fucking maniac on previous patches, and he would constantly flip and kill himself. And that would also kill the guy that you need to save, so that would fail the mission. And it was just such a huge pain in the ass. But now the mission actually tells you what you have to do. And what you have to do is you have to wait until the police like vehicle is going pretty slow, you know, so like block it in or something, and then get out. And the guy that you're supposed to save will recognize you, and he will actually get out. I don't know how he just walks out of the prison transport like that, but it doesn't really matter, who cares. And then you can go and pay and spray and get him out of there. Again, I changed cars here because I wasn't aware that you can pay and spray the police car, but you can, so you don't need to switch to this blister. You can just go ahead and spray the police car right away, so save yourself a bit of time here. Either way, whatever vehicle you have, get the guy back and take him to the dojo as normal, and that's the end of the mission. So, Grand Theft Auto, first thing before you start, make sure you have a fast vehicle, because we're going to be going straight to Portland, and obviously it's quite a long drive. 6.5 minutes for what you need to do is not a lot of time, because these ones, as you can see, are in very spread out locations. Usually, they're just, you know, parked around Staunton, and, you know, it takes maybe like 2 minutes to grab them if you're lucky. But this time we're going all the way to Portland, then we're going all the way to Liberty Campus, and then we're going all the way to an underground parking garage near where like Kingdom Come takes place, near Donald's place. So yeah, like 3 completely opposite ends of the map. So a fast vehicle to start off with for this Portland drive is very important. Also, so in this mission, even in the original, if you bump them, like crash them into anything, you have to pay and spray them, which will lose you time, right? So already you should try and not damage this car because it takes a lot of time to respray it, and you don't have a lot of time as it is. But also on this one in particular, if you crash it on the way back to Staunton, I would recommend just reloading and just trying again, because there is actually a locked van inside the Staunton paint spray. So if you crash it, you then have to somehow get rid of that locked car and then somehow respray, which is just way too much time lost. So instead, I would recommend just driving back to Portland and, as I say, do not crash this car. If you do, just reload and try again. It's much easier, trust me. So once you're back at the garage, you're going to go and deposit the vehicle into the garage. You can see the van just there on the left. So now for this one, as you're going along, just pull out any gun like your M16 or a shotgun or whatever, and just blow up the van. Because when you blow it up, it will then despawn when you go away from it. So when we drive away to go and get the next car, the van won't be there anymore. So then these next two vehicles, you can respray because there's enough time to do it because you've already dealt with the van. But on that first one, there really isn't enough time, so just keep that in mind. These next two guys, they have a cartel member guarding them, so make sure you shoot them first, because if you try and just drive away, then you'll get, like, you know, your tires popped and all that shit, which is just really annoying. And just be careful, of course, because obviously there's gang members and stuff as well. As you can see, it being kind of a pain in the ass. Head west here when you get hold of it, because if you try and drive up that little hill, you'll likely just like flip it, because this blister is so easy to flip. It's a real piece of shit to drive. But yeah, so I crashed it here, as you can see, but it's really not that big of a deal. In fact, I crashed it like 7 or 8 times, so yeah. These ones you can definitely get away with paint spraying, but just try and be as quick as you can, you know? It's better to drive fast and, you know, pay and spray afterwards, because it only costs a couple of seconds in this current situation, than taking like 30 extra seconds to get there and not having to pay and spray, you know? It's a lot quicker to just pay and spray from now on. So once you've delivered the blister compact, go and grab that blister again and drive it all the way south. But instead of heading all the way south into the compound, head right and then cut in here to the left. There is also health just on the right here if you need it, but you likely won't. But yeah, so just keep in mind there's another guy defending it, so just kill him. And exactly the same principle applies here. So you have a minute, you have enough time to pay and spray it if you do crash it, but obviously do your best not to. But it ultimately doesn't matter too much. Go and spray it or not spray it, depending on whether you've done the damage. Get it into the garage. Mission complete. So next up is Deal Steal for Kenji. For this mission, you need a Yardi Lobo car, which, if you're not familiar, it's like the red, kind of like lowrider car with a soft top roof and the like animal print seats. If you're not too familiar with it, you'll see it when I go and grab one. You can grab one before the start of this mission, or if you know, fail the mission for whatever reason, you can grab, you know, keep the same car and use it for another attempt. But if you don't have a car, then I'll show you where you can find it. You can find them in Newport, and Newport is just up to the northern side here. Stick on the east side, and it's just outside where like the pay and spray is. If you drive up and down on this road, you'll see them eventually. There's one I just saw on the left. Yeah, so this is what the car looks like. And just yoink one of those. If you press your... For me, it's the sprint key. It has hydraulics that you can mess around with. You know, if that's your thing, if you're a bouncer, or I don't know what they call people who like bouncing cars. I have no idea, but yeah. So if you beef it like this, you can just go ahead and go and, you know, keep the same vehicle and just use it for the next attempt. We'll get him next time. Alright, so now you're done, you know, committing genocide on your co-workers, we can actually pick him up. And instead of going to the hospital, we're actually going to be going to the much more fortified Fort Staunton. So we're going to be heading to like the construction site where all the, what's they called? The cartel blokes are. And this can be quite tricky. So what I would recommend doing is when you hit the marker, immediately reverse out, because these guys will just blow you up in like 3 seconds flat if you try and stand there and fight them. Especially also with like all the extra random spawns, you know, the random cartel guys. You got to be very, very careful. So it's worth noting that the guy who comes with you, it isn't actually mandatory to keep him alive. So just focus on keeping yourself alive. Like, don't give a shit about your teammates. Just keep yourself alive, kill everyone, back away like this, and you'll mostly be fine. It's also worth mentioning that when you steal the Yardie Lobo, the Yardies will be aggressive to you for the rest of the playthrough. So that's another, you know, gang that absolutely despises us now, which is, you know, brilliant.
This is 10-11, intel for Skunk. Response to 10-80, intel for Skunk.
So there's not too much towards the end of this. The pretty long and short of it is that the cartel guys have bigger guns and there's more of them. Simple as that. You do get a 3-star wanted level, which can be a little chaotic, as you can see. And you'll get some cartel cruisers chasing you when you actually leave as well. But they're not really much of a threat to you. You know, you absolute Giga Chad who's watching this video. You'll be fine. Quick footnote as well, you don't need to give a shit about the wanted level. Just drive back. Alright, so Shima is quite a long mission, and there's a lot of different places to go. So you're not in any particular time limit, but again, a fast car definitely helps. The first place that we're going to be going is the newly added bathroom stalls in the Staunton subway. So all you need to do is just head south towards the marker, and just opposite there'll be the subway entrance. It's on the left. If you look around, you'll spot it. I'm a little bit blind, so excuse me, but I spot it pretty quickly. There it is. And you just need to head down the stairs. You can walk or drive, it's completely up to you. They're big enough that you can fit a car like this down. But if you have a big vehicle, you know, like like a Landstalker or something, I'd probably keep it upstairs. But yeah, all you need to do is hop across. There's no guys in here or any traps or anything, so you can just run straight in and grab the briefcase and head out. The only thing that's different is once you grab the briefcase, oh yeah, there's a package there if you want it, and some health. Brilliant. But yeah, the only thing that's different is when you... brilliant train. Try and fit past, I'll just wait for it. It's up to you. Yeah, third time's a charm. Let's try and get this comment out. So, you'll get ambushed. It's not really an ambush, they're just waiting for you at the top of the stairs. There's 2 sets of Diablo guys, but they're very easy to just snipe. Even if you don't know they're there, like, you'll see them with plenty of time, as you see here. Like, you head up the escalators and they're stood there. Like, there's only 2 of them. Just snipe them. Problem solved. And if you want another set of great news, the Diablos are now fully aggressive onto you for good. The entire group of them are now pissed off at you. A group of them will chase you throughout this mission. As you can see, they're driving behind me. But again, if you're in a decent car, they're not really too much threat. You can blow them up if you want to, or just drive away. It's not really a big deal. The rest of the briefcases are guarded, so just make sure you run over the guys. And there isn't really too much to this one. You just pick up the briefcases. Then there's a section where you go to grab the final briefcase, and the owner of the shop comes out and says, you know, I can't pay you even if I wanted to. These thugs in Portland fucking beat me up or something. I don't remember the exact story. But then you go to Portland, kill them all, and grab the briefcase, and then come back. It's worth mentioning that when you go to Portland, it's also a perfect time to grab a Mafia Sentinel if you didn't grab one at the end of Sayonara Salvatore. Again, I didn't in either spot because I'm dumb as bricks. So, you can always grab it during the mission, but it's a lot easier to grab it on the way. It's also worth noting that you do get 2 stars for collecting one of the briefcases, but there's no real point in pain spraying because as soon as you deal with these guys, you'll get 3 stars anyway. So, you know, we're going to pay and spray after the 3 stars because we're literally right next to the pay and spray. So there's no real point in dealing with the 2 stars because you're just going to get the wanted level back anyway as soon as you grab this briefcase. So yeah, once you grab the briefcase, just may as well pay and spray while we're here. It's literally up the road, 2 seconds away. Don't have to deal with the cops on the way back. And then just drive back to Kenji's and you're good to go. So many people argue that in the original game, Smackdown is probably the worst mission in the game due to the fact that it can fail due to no real fault of your own. You know, sometimes you can just get unlucky with spawns. And this is no different. This mission is a huge pain in the ass. So instead of getting 8 yardies that you need to kill 10. They spend less time overall, and the overall mission timer before they all despawn is also a lot lower. So I would recommend rushing to this guy in the park and you can snipe him just from here really quick. It's a lot easier than having to chase him into the park because he has a shotgun and can do a lot of damage to your vehicle. So just keep that in mind. And overall, try your best to stay on the south side because if you head too far up north, you'll end up having to come all the way back south anyway to deal with more spawns. Whereas in the south, there's usually like more people on the south that you can get 10 kills and be pretty comfortable. Because the guys up north are all the way up north. Like, they're so far away. It's such a huge waste of time. So yeah, just do your best to stay south if you can. It's also worth mentioning, I'm pretty sure in this mission, the traffic density is a lot higher. As you can see, like, the amount of cars that spawn is crazy. And also, the chaos multiplier is a lot higher. So what I mean by that is the police star system is actually like a hidden point system called chaos points, and the more chaos points you get refers to how many stars you have, right? So killing these guys will create more chaos than usual, which basically what it means, like TLDR, is you can get wanted levels a lot easier. So just keep that in mind. Try not to cause too much chaos. Running people over does a lot less chaos than shooting them, because obviously using a gun counts as like a separate crime. So yeah, do your best to just run them over. But if you have to drive by a couple of them because they're in awkward spots, then just kill them. You'll mostly be fine. Mostly being the keyword.
We got a 1065 in Central Bedford Point. This is 1011 in South Bedford Point. Response to 1080 in South Bedford Point. Response to 1073 in Central Bedford Point. In our police car.
Once you kill your 10th guy, you don't actually need to do any more. The mission will just pass by itself once all the guys despawn. So I would recommend heading back to the casino because there's one more off-road mission, sorry, not an off-road mission, an RC vehicle mission that we're going to be doing there. And before we go on to the next mission chain, we're going to be doing a couple of, like, you know, RC missions, off-road missions and stuff in Staunton just to get them out the way while we have time. So this mission here is Casino Calamity. It's very easy. It's another RC Toys mission. 2 minutes to blow up a single Yakuza stinger. If you just drive south and just head outside of the casino, there will be loads of them just waiting for you. See, first car that spawns, there's one right there. Blow it up, and then mission done. Just wait for the timer to expire. Next up is an off-road mission, a brand new one, similar to Ono Dodo and things like that. And this one has got a very interesting vehicle. So if you head into the stadium, as you can see, there's like a sort of mini track. And if you just hop over, I actually struggled to get over this a little bit, but if you hop over the other side, then you can actually go and get into the Luigi kart. And this mission is a very simple checkpoint pickup mission. And the Luigi kart is very fun to drive. It is extremely speedy, and you can do all sorts of flips with it because of how sort of quick it is. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, this mission. I really like it. So once you're all done here, there is actually one more off-road mission in Staunton, and it's all the way up northwest of the stadium, next to where McCaffrey's missions take place in LCS, if that rings any bells to you. There's a Landstalker here, and this mission is tough. This first jump that you have to do in order to get onto the ship is extremely difficult. There isn't really a reference to it that I figured out. Honestly, just do your best. You know, the Landstalker is notorious for flipping. So all I can say is go pretty slow, because if you go fast, you'll just bounce over and flip. And try and aim to the left so you sort of land like in this little bit here rather than hitting the railing. Once you've done this jump, you're pretty much smooth sailing. All of the other pickups are extremely easy. They're just on the boat. The only somewhat tricky one is actually getting off the boat, because there's one actually down on the dock that you finish with. The only other thing to mention is there are some that are on ramps, but don't use the ramps thinking that you're going to be like going off the ramp. Stay on the ship and just slowly crawl up the ramp, grab the pickup, and then back down the ramp again. Because you'll have to go around both sides of the ship, as you see here. Do not try and go off this ramp to pick up that one in front of you. Just go round instead. So this jump, there's two ways to hit it. You can hit it from where I was there, where that broken down railing is. But I found that pretty difficult to do. Something that I found much easier was to just sort of back in here and then just jump this way, if that makes sense. Like sort of off to the right of this little bit. So make sure you have enough speed to actually make the jump. You can just back in here. But yeah, this jump really isn't too difficult. Just throw yourself off towards the corner and you're done. Nice and easy. So next up are the green payphone missions, the ones in Staunton Island. Just a couple before we sort of move on with our, with our main storyline escapade. This one you'll need a fast car for. You don't need it right away. As you see, I'm sort of running after this Banshee. But this one is a modified version of Bling Bling Scramble. It works very similarly. The only difference really is that you have tougher competition in a sense. Tougher, I mean literally, because your opponents are 2 armored patriots and a tank. So you're going to be very careful when going for these checkpoints, but if you're in a fast car, you'll mostly be fine. The strategy here is to collect more than 50% of the checkpoints, so 8 out of 15, because then it is statistically impossible for any of your opponents to collect more than you, so you'll win every single time. Probably goes without saying, but if a tank, or if the tank, is about to go for a checkpoint, just let them do it, because they will insta-kill you if they collide with you. So yeah, it's not worth becoming the next victim. In the original, there are 2 different patterns, 3 if you include consoles, but on PC there are 2 different patterns. I have no idea if these are the same patterns as the original, or if there are new patterns, or if the pattern is now fixed. I think there are 2 different patterns, so I imagine it's the same as the original, but I'm honestly not too sure because I'm not too familiar with this mission. I've done it a couple of times, but I don't know it well enough to know, you know, what is what. But as you can see, it's not particularly complicated. Just grab 8 checkpoints, and then as soon as you're done, you can move on. So as soon as you grab your 8 checkpoint, you have a couple of decisions to make. Of course, you're more than welcome to continue on and, you know, keep doing the mission to essentially speed it up, but there's no need to if you don't want to. And that obviously comes with a risk because of the fact that you have an increased wanted level all the way up to 4 stars. So what I would recommend instead doing is just heading straight to the pay and spray, getting rid of your wanted level, and then just waiting for the mission to pass of its own accord. There is a chance, as you can see on the screen now, that the final marker, the 15th one, will spawn all the way at the northern side. So if you're like me and you're waiting at the payphone for the next mission, you may as well just go and grab this last one because it'll finish the mission instantly, rather than waiting for the AI to do it. Next up is Uzi Rider. This mission has been changed a lot in patch 1.6, and thank God, because on previous patches it was fucking unplayable. The big difference now is that you have a different vehicle, as you can see. What are these guys called? The Yardies come to you in a red Liberty Cruiser, Carcel Cruiser, which looks awesome. But the premise of the mission is still the same. The difference is that they just have much bigger guns. So what I would recommend doing is, and also you get a trip skip, which is very nice because driving all the way back and forth is just a pain in the ass. But yeah, so you want to head into Diablo territory and run them over. But if you feel like you're taking too much damage, I would heavily recommend pay and spraying after every couple of kills, because it's very possible for you to get taken out quickly here. Of course, you can drive by as well. You don't have to run them over. As long as you kill them, it doesn't really make too much of a difference. But yeah, just watch out for the Diablos that are also coming at you, because there's a couple in the car as well. So yeah, here I got 10 kills very quickly. Some of these guys have AKs, so definitely watch out. And just to be safe, before I drove back, I decided to pay and spray. On the way back, you can cut across this little grassy bit here to get yourself out of Hepburn Heights and therefore out of those guns of the Diablos. And then just head straight back and you're all done.
Okay, you're the kind of man we like as friend now. You're Irie, man. Real shooter.
So next up is Gang Car Roundup, and this is the mission that I was talking about earlier where if you were smart, you would save a lot of time on this mission compared to me, because I'm dumb. So the idea here is that you have to collect a Yakuza Stinger, a Mafia Sentinel, what else do you have to collect? You would usually have to collect a Diablo Stallion, but that is the one that we're going to do now. That's what we're going to Portland for. It's a custom vehicle, so you can't get a Diablo Stallion ahead of time. And what is the other one? Fuck, it's completely lost me. Okay, so yeah, apparently I'm completely trolling because it's just these 3 cars. So 2 of them you need from Portland, and 1 of them has a fixed spawn in Staunton. So, let's say, if you already have a Mafia Sentinel ready to go, then you only need to make 1 trip to Portland to grab this custom Diablo car, which will save you a ton of time driving to Portland there and back. Especially with the guys, you know, the Leone guys now have shotguns and stuff, and they're a huge pain in the ass. With that being said, a key difference in this mission is that the cars need to be delivered without any, you know, damage, whereas usually it doesn't matter whether you sort of crash them or not. So just keep that in mind. Make sure you pay and spray them before you take them to the garage. This guy in the golden Diablo seems to just kind of drive around randomly. I don't know if he has a pattern or anything, but it doesn't really matter. But obviously just watch out, because as you can hear, there's AKs everywhere. And this guy really gives me the reach around, but hopefully he shouldn't give you that much trouble. Usually when you're dealing with him, you can sort of push him into places and he will stop, you know? Like you can use other cars or buildings. Hopefully it goes a bit better for you than it did for me, because yeah, I get destroyed here. I'm surprised I got away with it, because yeah, look at all the explosions and stuff. But yeah, you can try and pit maneuver them, same principle as before, or you can try and like push them into, you know, push them into walls and stuff like that. And hopefully not get all 4 of your tires popped, because yeah, that's no fun. So once the car's back in mint condition and you get it back to Staunton, you know, after you've paint sprayed it or not, if you're a beast unlike me, just push it in there and boost it, as they say. Just watch out for gang members and stuff. So here, if you're smart, go and grab the Mafia Sentinel from your safe house. It'll save you a lot of time. And just go and deliver that as well. Just keep in mind that after you start boosting the cars, your chaos point multiplier will be quite a bit higher. So, you know, the more crimes you commit, you'll get more stars than usual, so just keep that in mind. So, no matter your means of getting it, once you got the Mafia Sentinel, send that in as well. The 3rd and final one is a lot easier, thankfully. So, it's just the Yakuza Stinger, and it spawns near Azuka's place. You've probably used it quite a few times in this playthrough already. So, just go ahead and grab that, and we'll be done. Alright, so final one is a real doozy. Again, make sure you have a fast vehicle lined up, otherwise you might be in trouble. You only have 60 seconds to get down to the usual spot instead of 1 minute and 30, and that does make quite a big difference. Because if all goes well and you do have a fast enough vehicle, you have just enough time to do a sneaky little trick here. So the idea of this mission is that Catalina sets up a trap for you, the Yardies turn you into the cartel or something, I don't exactly remember, it's not important. But the important bit is that there's a load of guys that are going to be coming in vans, and they're strapped with explosives, and when you get near them, they'll blow up, killing themselves and hopefully you. And they spawn from these vans infinitely until you destroy the vans. So it actually turns out before you get into the car and sort of trigger the trap here, there is actually a van already there, as you can see, and that is one of the vans that you need to take out. So if you're quick enough, you can just like grenade it or M16 it or whatever and blow it up before you actually get inside. And that will make this quite a bit easier. So these guys now in this mod, they also have guns as well, so they'll shoot at you. They can have anything from an Uzi to an M16. But you can kind of use their explosives to your advantage. So what you want to do is you want to keep focusing on one particular guy. And obviously if another one gets too close, then just shoot him and blow him up. But focus on one guy and keep sort of stun locking him to make him keep respawning next to the van. And you can shoot him, and that will obviously damage the van because he blows up right next to it. So as you can see, you can keep the others at a distance, and then just run towards these guys, and every single time they spawn, just blow them up, and it will keep damaging the vans. The vans have a lot of health, but eventually you'll be able to blow them up, as you can see. And then just rinse and repeat that. The southeast corner might look like a place of solace. It isn't, let me tell you. There's a bunch of M16 guys there waiting for you. You can take them out if you want to, but I'd really not recommend it. I'd instead just do your best to stick in the middle and just sort of, you know, stick to angles where you can keep consistently killing these guys, as you can see. I did get pretty close there. That was my fault. But you can use the radar as well to keep an eye on the spawns for you. But yeah, and then once the last guy is done, you're good to go. And this is where the M16 guys are, just behind that van, so just watch out for those. And yeah, once you're done, any Thug 2 enjoyers get this reference? No? Just me? So we're done with most of the side content in Portland. We're done with pretty much everything we can do for now. So Paparazzi Purge is up next, which is the next main storyline mission. And as you can see, very thick fog happens in the middle of the night, which makes the visibility really low. If you get too far away from this guy, the sort of range for where you can continue to keep going before the mission fails is very short. But as you can see, he actually docks onto just the other dock over there. So if you're quick enough, you can actually go and grab him before he drives away in his shiny new Diablo. So the best sort of, you know, way to complete this mission is not to really do anything at all. As you can see, he goes to drive away, but you can just fling him out and kill him. You don't have to chase him in the boat, because if you do, he'll get into a car and drive away before you have a chance. Yoink.
It's my hands.
So, final main storyline Azuka mission for a while. Payday for Ray, otherwise known as Bean to Cop, I think? Yeah, something like that. It's essentially the same. The timer has been reduced, so, you know, if you already struggled to complete this mission before, when it was an original, you're going to struggle now. Looking at you, Watch Mojo, you know, this will be top of your list soon, let me tell you. Because, yeah, you only have about 2 minutes to do this, but if you take the route that I take and you have a decently fast car, it's actually really not that difficult. Also, as you can see, there are espresso stalls here. I would heavily recommend killing these guys because they can shoot you in the cutscene. So, very tricky to deal with, but if you kill them, you'll be just fine. So, all of the phones are in the usual places. So, if you're familiar with speedrunning, you can just take the usual speedrun route. The only thing that's different in this particular attempt that I did was I got my tires popped about halfway through, which obviously significantly decreases your speed when you're driving around. So in order to make it in time, I had to just basically face tank the last guy. I'll show you what I mean later. But, you know, usually I would not recommend tanking it. But as I say, our health is a resource in this playthrough. Because of the fact that we're going mission by mission and we can heal in between, you know, we're not doing like a single segment, no damage run or anything. So if you do get to a point like me where you have like 10 seconds left for the final phone, answering the final phone at the park is actually what stops the timer. It's not getting to Ray himself. So yeah, you'll see what I mean later, but basically all you need to know is that it was either that or fail the run or the mission, so much better to take a bit of damage.
Get to the phone in South Belleville Park.
Fucking pop tires, man. So this is what I meant here. I didn't have time to kill this guy. I had like a second to spare. But as you'll see, he completely leathers me coming out of the cutscene. There. You see, like, you don't have any control, but yeah, he wrecks you. So you can only do that once. So just keep that in mind. But it's sort of like a, you know, a last-ditch effort to save the mission. Because, you know, there's no combat and no more timer after this. So it's smooth sailing. So usually we would be speaking to Ray right now, because that would be continuing with the main storyline. But we're actually going to be going back to Azuka because she has one more hit-missable mission. You have quite a long time to do this. It doesn't go away until like way later on in the story, until you unlock like Shoreside Vale. But yeah, it's best to do it now because why not? You know, we're finishing with her missions at that point until the Shoreside missions. So it's best to just do it now while it's out the way. And it's a pretty easy one. So, Two-Faced Tenor, usually he gets into a car and you shoot a rocket at it, blow it up, instant mission done, no problem. But in this one, he's in an Enforcer, I think it is, and it's explosion-proof. So, you can't really cheese the mission, but it doesn't make it any more difficult, really. Oh, it's a security car, but same thing. He's in an armored vehicle that you can't instantly blow up with a rocket. So, instead, the strategy is just go next to him and drive by him, shoot him to death. Problem solved. So, as you can see, the damage bar isn't really accurate, you know? Like, he should be on fire by now if he's really, you know, properly on fire. But it's not, it doesn't mean that he has infinite health or anything. It just means that the bar isn't accurate. In this case, he flips himself, which speeds along the process, but even if he didn't, you keep shooting him, eventually the van will set on fire, and you'll be good. So, now we're finally starting Ray's missions. These are the mandatory ones. Silence the Sneak especially is a very important mission for the playthrough, because this is where we're going to be using our last rocket that we saved from Bomb the Base. Again, if you don't have them, it's not really a big deal. You'll just have to chase him down and, you know, pop his tires and get him out of the car and, you know, kill McCaffrey that way. But it's way easier to just rocket him. Just keep in mind that this car that he lives in, this Armored Patriot, I'm pretty sure it's bulletproof. If it's not, it's very close, you know, like it has a shit ton of health. And it's also pretty fast. So if you don't have a rocket, then, you know, I'd heavily recommend, you know, using some other kind of explosive, grenades or something. It'll make it way easier for yourself. But the good thing is as soon as you kill him, you actually get the Armored Patriot delivered to your safe house. And we are going to be abusing that a lot because it is a very good car. So, arms shortage. This mission is tough, but it's also kind of like a turning point for the playthrough. And what I mean by that is obviously as soon as you complete this, you get access to Phil's guns, and you can buy essentially infinite rockets, infinite M16, infinite shotgun. Like, you are just going to be so overpowered. You know, like, this is the turning point in the run where we become, like, you know, the Arsenal fucking... You know, whatever. I can't even think of a term to describe how fucking kitted out we are going to be. But yeah, so here's the Armored Patriot chilling at the safe house. Would heavily recommend this for most missions going forward. It's very quick, it's very agile, it's very flexible, and it is very bulletproof. So it's always good, especially when you're driving through, you know, Fort Staunton, you know, going back to Portland, it's busted. So the differences in this mission are basically Phil follows you instead of, you know, holding his ground. He dies really easily, and the cartel will absolutely fuck you up. Like, there are, you know, they're in different locations. They spawn, there's a lot more of them. They spawn a lot quicker. So what I would recommend doing is as soon as you get control here, is I would immediately sprint into the Armored Patriot, get Phil in, and get the hell out of there. Because these cartel cruisers will start spawning immediately. All that you want to do is just drive all the way to this, to the south part of like this here, and then use this as sort of like a blockade to keep Phil away from them, and just snipe the guys as they come. Because if you try and stand in the compound, you will get destroyed. Don't worry if they run off. Don't give chase to them. Because this strategy also has another benefit, and that is, as you can see in a few seconds, as soon as they all sort of go into the compound, they're all like nicely grouped up, so you can just launch some grenades in there and just destroy most of them. Like, it's not even fair. We've completely outplayed these guys. You know, we are the ones with the trap. They've fallen into our trap from their trap. Like, it's just GG, honestly. I guess that guy was like a random spawn right there instead of like a mission spawn, because, you know, all the mission spawns are dead, which triggers the end of the mission, so, yeah. As you can see, we've got now access to Phil's storage. M16 is like 5 grand, and it gives you like, you know, a ridiculous amount of bullets. So grab as much of that as you want. We have so much money, and yes, we're slightly limited on finances because we still need $500,000 in order to finish the game for the final mission. But for reference, I bought 2 sets of rockets here, so 10 rockets total, and 3 pickups of M16. So I grab another M16 here, and I still had $150,000 spare once I'd already paid the 500K. So just keep that in mind. You can buy like as much as you want, basically, without really running into any issues. So, evidence dash. This is an interesting one, and it's interesting for many reasons. So the big change in this is that when you hit the Bobcat to drop the evidence, you know, you drop the package, you have to pick it up, and then you get 6 and then torch your car. Every single time, he'll also drop an explosive barrel that basically acts as like a motion, you know, triggered mine. So the next person to drive over it will, you know, I mean, blow up and die, right? So as you can see, explosive barrel there next to the evidence. It's also interesting because there's actually a secret way to beat this mission, but it's not very consistent, so I'm going to show you both ways. The inconsistent way is if you find him near water, you can actually just ram him and you will pass the mission. Usually you would fail if this happened in the original game, but the developer has changed it into a pass condition instead. However, his pattern is random, so getting him near the water isn't very likely. So instead, what I would recommend doing is just the usual way, and all that you essentially need to do is instead of ramming the truck from behind, because obviously that means that you're going to instantly hit the explosive barrel and die, instead make sure you're driving parallel to him and then hit him from the side, because he always drops the barrel behind him, so then you can let someone else trigger the barrel, you know, a cop or something else, and, you know, you won't get hit by it, basically. So yeah, just drive up alongside him parallel, make sure you've got the right kind of speed, hit him from the side. Don't do that. Do as I say, not as I do, because that is very risky. But yeah, you'll see for the rest of them, I do it the smart way, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, so don't do it on corners or anything like that, because you can, you know, get dropped very quickly. Wait until he's driving along, hit him from the side, let someone, you know, move out the way of the blast zone of the barrel, let someone else trigger it, as you see here. This is what you should be doing. Let someone else trigger it and just pick up the package. Stay away from those bombs. Once you pick up the final package, just immediately launch a grenade at your car. Don't worry about it. We can get plenty more. You know, they spawn infinitely at the safe house. Don't take any risks, and then just load your autosave. So next up is changing rooms. The first Donald mission. It's known as Liberator in the original. And you need to grab a Colombian gang car, cartel cruiser. Luckily, as is the spirit with these kind of mods, since all the way back in Toughened, there is actually a cartel cruiser fix spawn that's unlocked that you can always grab just outside of the compound where you need to go. So just head straight to the compound. It's just up in, you know, western Fort Staunton. Is it even Fort Staunton at that point? I don't know. But, you know, just head up north. I'm sure you know where it is if you're playing this mod. You're probably familiar with it. But yeah, head up there and just grab it. It's straight across the street. And it'll make it a lot easier than trying to grab one off the street randomly. As you can see, the big change here is there's, once you sniped all these guys, there's actually an interior here, and this is where the old Oriental gentleman is kept. And as you can hear, there are actually guys on the other side of this wall, so if you throw a grenade, you can actually kill a couple of them. I throw like 4 or 5 just to take out as many guys as I can through the wall, because, you know, why not? Easy. Just watch out for these cheap bastards who have shotguns. But you got your M16 now, so you can just wreck these guys. But yeah, some of these guys on the right-hand side, you have to peek them to be able to realistically kill them. So just keep that in mind. So cheap. Fuck you, Rob. And another little tip for you, try not to get boxes stuck in doorways, because the old Oriental gentleman does not like that. If you want to be safe, you can just look behind and grab the cartel cruiser inside the compound rather than getting shot here, but I've never failed at doing this way. You should be fine. So yeah, and then once you're done, there's a couple of cruisers that will follow you, but again, they're no threat. Don't worry about them. Just drive back to Donald's Loves and you'll be done. So originally for this mission, I had originally shown you like a more intended way to do it, but as I've started to look into more and more strategies for this, I've actually kind of, you know, come up with a much easier way to beat this mission. All you need is a few rockets. So first off, there's a Colombian cartel cruiser. If you need it, you might have the one from the previous mission, but if you don't, it spawns right here. And also, as you can see by the white text on the screen, for the sake of visual demonstration purposes, I'm going to be showing you, you know, basically, this is like a wall hack, essentially, that I'm using with a mod menu. And all that it's going to do is it's going to show you, like, the health totals of Kenji and everyone else. And also when they spawn in, as you see there. Because otherwise, this is going to be a completely blind shot, and you won't be able to see what's going on. So watch out for that limo. That one is a bug, don't worry about it. It just isn't in the place where it should be. And then you want to drive to the top of that staircase and spawn the guys in. And as you can see, Kenji is just below you. So then all that you need to do is hop into this corner and shoot exactly where I'm shooting. Around 5 times. I would recommend shooting 6 or 7 if you have the spare rockets, just to be sure. And you will actually kill Kenji through the floor, which, you know, saves you the huge pain of doing this mission normally. Then all you need to do is go back into the trigger, which is just at the top of the stairs, and it will tell you that, you know, Kenji's fender meat, he's dead, and you need to go to, like, Fort Staunton to ditch the car, but you don't. An oversight by the developer. If you go onto this grass patch here, this is not the area where you can't put it in, so therefore you can put it in there, and the mission will pass. Simple as that. So, a drop in the ocean. A couple of things have been changed, but it's still a really easy mission. This one is nice after Waka-Gashira, because fuck Waka-Gashira. So, as you can see, immediately night fog, so visibility is a problem, but again, if you're decent, you know, I'm partially sighted and I can see this mission. I've never failed it, so, you know, not to flex or anything, but I'm pretty good at this mod, you know. Woo! Anyway, so, as you can see as well, you have about 30 seconds before the plane arrives, so you have to be pretty quick. Make sure you have a fast vehicle for this, and get your ass down to Azuka's docks as soon as you can. Don't stop for health, don't stop for armor or any of that shit, because you really don't have time. So yeah, the fog, the timer, what else? I'm pretty sure the flight path is actually shorter, so it starts dropping packages as soon as the timer starts, rather than like a bit afterwards. And the police boat that you have to fight with is also like, you know, he's got his head screwed on a little bit. So all of those together basically mean you have less time than usual, but it's really not a big deal. As you can see, I even miss a package here because I'm dicking around with the boat and I'm late compared to usual. and I still get all 6 before the police even have a chance. Once you've grabbed all the packages, you have 6 stars, and that's a problem. Luckily, there is a solution. We are right next to the pay and spray. So just grab your car and just go and spray it, and then drive back to Donald's. You shouldn't be in too much danger. You know, the classic opposite effect happens here. The only time I've been in any even close to danger was on this attempt when I was recording it for the guide. Because as you can see, a tank comes pretty close to me. But this didn't happen in any other attempts, so you should mostly be fine. Yeah, you can see how close he is here. Ooh, dear. Yeah, didn't happen any other attempts, so you should be fine. So, as you GTA enthusiasts might be aware, we didn't do raise missions right at the start, even though we had access to most of them. Most being the key word. So I felt like it made more sense to do all of raise missions once you actually unlock the final one, which is Marked Man. So usually you can do Gone Fishing, which is this one, and Plaster Blaster, which is the one right afterwards. But then you don't gain access to Marked Man until you've completed a drop in the ocean and gained access to Shoreside Vale. So I felt like it made sense to, you know, sort of go ahead and do raise missions once we had access to all of them. So we'll be doing them all back to back. There is not really much to say about Gone Fishing. The mission's extremely easy. He spots you quicker, he's a bit faster, and he drops mines more frequently, but just gun him down, he's a piece of piss. Plaster Blaster is a little more entertaining. The ambulance is now armored, so that accurate damage bar is not very accurate, let me tell you. And now when you knock McCaffrey out of the ambulance and you have to, you know, like run him over or, you know, shoot rockets at him or whatever to kill him, the health is much higher, so you have to do a lot more damage than usual. And also it knocks out like 3 other guys with guns that are in casts, so make sure you kill those as well, because otherwise they'll shoot you down pretty quickly. Also, as you can see, running him over is very slow, so just use grenades or rockets, whichever's better. It's way quicker, trust me. Hoo boy, Marked Man. So if you did this the intended way, this is probably the hardest mission in the entire game. You have 3 options. This is the first one that I'm doing, and this is using the Armored Patriot, killing the guys on the bridge slowly as you go across, and just driving across to the airport. I think this is the safest way. I think it's the easiest. Your second option is to use the Dodo and fly yourself across. You know, bring it before you start the mission and just fly all the way across, which is what speedrunners will no doubt do, because it's a lot easier. The third option is to go the intended way. As you can see, the blue marker is telling you to go up to the shipwreck where we did the Landstalker mission. And you jump over, use the shipwreck to go to shoreside, and then drive all the way down to the airport. During my casual playthrough, I did that, and it is so fucking hard, let me tell you. Even with an insanely fast car like the Luigi car, you have about 5 seconds of leeway. It's gross. So I would heavily recommend this method. Just use your sniper rifle. These guys can take a bullet unless you shoot them in the head or crit them, you know, shoot them in the arm or something. So I would recommend going for headshots. And as you'll see, you only have a little bit of time to spare, so try and go as fast as you can. But not so fast that they kill Ray, obviously. But yeah, just keep an eye out for spawns as you drive along, and you can just slowly snipe them. They are all along the bridge, so just keep that in mind.
This is 1080 and 8 Service International. This is 1080 and 8 Service International.
So as you can see, 17 seconds on the timer. There are actually a couple more dudes, as you'll hear in a second. But you haven't got time. Just drive through. You're in a you're in a pretty much invincible vehicle. So they will destroy you if you try and just drive over the bridge. But yeah, it's really not too bad. The only part that you're going to do now is get back to Ray's lockup, where you'll find an interesting little Easter egg, I guess. It's actually kind of difficult to see because I get stuck inside the garage, which fucks with the camera angle. But here's a screenshot for you. So, Beam Me Up Shotty, or Grand Theft Auto, as it usually is quite a long mission now. It's usually quite long anyway, but it's even longer than usual now. So, first step, drive to the airport, just as usual. Once you get here, watch out, because there will be quite a lot of guys coming after you. Blow up that van, because it has guys that are also trying to run you down. And then you can use your sniper rifle or your M16 to take these guys out. These guys have M16s, I'm pretty sure, so again, be careful. And for some reason, this didn't happen on previous patches when I was doing my casual playthrough. But when I was recording this guide, every attempt I did, this guy always came here, which is, you know, a pretty unfortunate place to take cover, if you ask me. Now, we need to get back to, the Staunton, what is it called? The construction yard in northern Staunton. The quickest way to get there is obviously to take the Dodo. I take it in this, even though you don't really need to, because obviously, if you don't know how to fly the Dodo, that's fine. Just drive back. It's just a little bit slower. But flying back is obviously quick. So once you get back to the construction yard, as you can see, the supports and everything go a bit higher. It's a lot more developed than usual. So you can't just hop over the fence anymore, because it's obviously way too high. You could maybe land the Dodo in there, but it seems really inconsistent. So, and you know, also, I'm not going to require that of you. So instead, we'll fight through the hard way, and I'll show you what to do. Just keep an eye out. Obviously, some of these guys are pretty high up on the beams and stuff, so just watch out for those. There is a guy later on that I'll point out to you that you are able to kill earlier than, you know, usual. And I actually tank a shotgun blast from him when I should have killed him earlier. But I'll point that out as it comes. Watch out for this guy because he spawns on the stairs and runs at you. For those guys sort of mid-range, I would much more recommend using the M16 rather than the sniper rifle, but I'm stubborn, so... And this guy up on the stairs is who I was referring to. Do not eat the shotgun blast from him, there's no need to. You can see him way earlier, and he is, you know, way easier to take out beforehand. So, once you start heading up, as you can see, you can sort of peek your head out and start killing people. The rest of these guys are really no threat to you, because you can see them really early on, and all you need to do is just make sure you don't fall off, because obviously you'll take quite a bit of damage. And there are guys below you, so if you drop down now, you'll get wrecked. So there's one guy there. He takes 2 shots. Some of them take... This guy takes like 1 million shots. I don't know what the deal with this guy is. But you can see him bleeding. So I don't know if he just bugged out and became like temporarily invincible or what. But yeah, he's fucking cheating. I don't know. I crit him and he died. But he wouldn't die to non-critical damage, which is super weird. There's a guy over there. There's another guy at the far end that is like running into a wall. And there's a guy directly below you. So what I'd recommend doing is getting a good angle on him and then just chucking a grenade. That guy's dead. Remember, you can wallbang with the sniper rifle. And then, yeah, just drop a grenade at your feet. And you'll just kill him, most likely. And then you can drop down. It's a pretty big fighting section done, so good shit. Once you watch this cutscene, all you need to do is just head back to Donald's place. Nice and easy. So while we're here, we might as well continue on with Donald's missions. These missions are usually pretty difficult, but I'm going to show you a way to make them much easier. So Escort Service, usually you have to escort this thing all the way to Shoreside, to a garage, and you have to fight a load of dudes as you go along. But there's a little trick. So as you can see, it starts off half damaged, which is a huge pain. And, you know, there's more traffic and things like that just make this usually much more difficult. But here's a strategy for you. Don't escort the van at all. And I mean literally, like if it starts driving north, you know, it's on a fixed path, go everywhere except where the van is going. As you can see, I go to get health, I go to get armor, I go to get guns, I sit and, you know, sit on my phone and read Twitter for a little bit. The reason why this is the best strategy is because the cartel guys that are usually going to attack this dude only spawn if you're nearby. They cannot spawn if you're at the other side of the map. But the security car, with some exceptions that I'll show you soon, will keep driving no matter what. So if you just leave him, he will drive to his checkpoints with no issues. So once you've got everything you want, you know, armor, health, guns, good car, whatever, I would recommend just sitting on the bridge just on the Staunton side between Staunton and Shoreside Vale. And what you should do, I don't actually do it here because I mistimed it, but this isn't like difficult to time or anything. I just wasn't too familiar with the strategy while I was recording this, but it, you know, it's all the same. Like it doesn't really matter. You're just basically waiting. So I accidentally trigger guys by going too early, but what I would do is I would wait. As you can see him, the guy on the minimap is still moving, and when he drives through the tunnels is when you need to go into Shoreside, because otherwise he'll stop. So you want to move into Shoreside once he drives all the way past you. So like you can see him driving under the tunnels way later than I do. Because I move once he starts looking like he's going to go towards Shoreside. But I forgot that the tunnels take you all the way to like the west side of Staunton. But then they go all the way south before then turning into Shoreside Vale. If that makes any sense. If not, just wait way longer than you think you need to. And then head across the Shoreside and start escorting him. If you are a dumbass like me and you move too early, then that's fine. Just, again, drive away from him. Like, as you can see, I just drive all the way to the north side where the garage is when he's at the south side. He does take unnecessary damage here, and I do get pretty close to failing. But as you can see, even with, like, not executing the strategy properly, you still win. So, you know, it's basically unlosable.
We got a 10-43 and Central Ice Cream. We got a 10-29 and Central Ice Cream.
Watch it, Seller.
Alright, now it's time for decoy. And you better follow my strategy, because otherwise you are going to be in real trouble. So you get in, and usually in the original game, you have 6 stars, but the 6 stars is like a custom-coded 6 stars. There's no tanks or anything. In this, there are tanks, and the tanks move so fast, it's ridiculous. Head over that ramp, get onto the grass, and the reason for that is because when the army, or any cops for that matter, see you on grass, unless they're already aggressive towards you, nice tank backfoot there, if you're on the grass, they won't come and chase you down on the grass. So as you can see, those guys are staying on the road. You want to stay on the grass as much as you can and head straight down to the subway. The reason for that is because you need to be in Portland once the 2 minutes are done, and if you try and drive across the bridge or the tunnels, you will get destroyed, let me tell you. So the best thing to do is to get down into the subway and go into first-person camera and drive through the train tracks to get to Portland. You will fail this mission if you... I can't remember exactly what the game says, but it says get it out of Shoreside and don't put it near Donald Love's place. So basically what that means is you have to go to Portland, because Staunton and Shoreside will both fail you. Once you get onto the train tracks, head straight south, and don't stop driving south until you're in Portland. Keep in mind that trains will be driving on this track. So what you want to do is when you see a train, slow down and hug the left wall. Or, if you're unlucky like me, hug the left wall, bounce off your own door, get flung into the train, and somehow survive. But yes, for the most part, you'll be fine as long as you slow down, you know, watch the corners, and drive to Portland. Once you get to the train station that says, you know, Chinatown, Red Light District, that kind of thing, you know you're in Portland. So all I would recommend doing is just, you know, there's a train there, wait for it to leave. and then just head off the train tracks so you're not in the, you know, the path of any trains, and just wait for the timer to expire. And if all goes well, you'll have done one of the hardest missions in this mod. Congratulations. On another note, if you want an easy way to get back, exit your vehicle, load your save to get rid of the shitty 6-star wanted level that stays after the mission completes, because fuck you, and then simply wait for a train. A lot of people don't know this, but there is actually a fully working train transport system in this. So all you need to do is just wait for a train to come, press F to get in, and it'll take you all the way back to Staunton for the final Donald Love mission, in quotes. As a nice brief bit of respite after you've dealt with Decoy, Love's disappearance, Donald Love's final mission, is just a cutscene. So now we're sort of moving on to, you know, proper Shoreside Vale. We're going to continue on with the main story for a little bit with Bait. Bait is pretty simple, there isn't too much to it. The difference is, as you can see, there's quite thick fog, so doing this with the Dodo, which you would usually do in speedruns, is, you know, pretty much out of the question, at least for now. Instead, just do it in a car instead. There isn't really too much to this one. The only difference that I noticed was that the cars, when you go to aggro them, there's also like guards on foot that will try and shoot at you as you hear here. I have no idea how I didn't trigger this guy, by the way. I don't know if it's because I'm on like the other side of the road or not, but you know, just keep that in mind. But yeah, there's guys with AKs, so just watch out for them. But aside from that, just literally drive past the 3 cars. You can do it one at a time if you want to be safer, but this for me has never failed so far. So yeah, just drive in a sort of, you know, anti-clockwise all around the top side of Shoreside and just get them all into the trap and let the Yakuza do the rest. Once you've got them all sort of aggroed into you, when you pull into the trap, all I'd do is just recommend turning into the right here and just reversing in. And so you can't get out of your vehicle because these guys will spot you and they'll drive away. So you need to sort of stay in your car. But as you can see, once they drive into the compound, their markers on the minimap change color and they like disappear. And that's the point where like it stops mattering whether they spot you or not. So what you can do is the Yakuza should take out the first 2 guys, and then this doesn't happen with me, you know, typical when I'm recording this, but as soon as the final guy disappears like that, you can help out the car and use rockets or, you know, your M16 or whatever to kill them. In this particular instance, I didn't have to, but most of the time you'll have to give them a little push, so just keep that in mind. So once you finish Bait, you'll be in Shoreside, so it makes perfect sense to do, you know, the Shoreside missions that we have access to now while we're here. As you can see, I got my Banshee stolen at the start, which is, you know, always a brilliant start to this mission. But yeah, you don't actually sort of start the mission officially until you get into a vehicle, so just keep that in mind. You know, you can just grab a faster one. Or, you know, you can bring the Patriot along with you, as that has quite a lot of armor, because you're going to be shooting quite a couple of guys here. So the difference here is that you have 90 seconds rather than 2.5 minutes. And there's a lot more gang spawns, which actually works in your favor in this particular scenario, because obviously you need to kill 20 purple 9s, so the more spawns the better, even if it does mean you taking a bit of damage. The best thing I can recommend is just sort of, you know, drive up and down, get people to spawn in, and look on these sort of side streets, because there's less traffic here, less of a, you know, less annoyances. And then once you run out of people, just drive back and, you know, the new guys will have spawned in their place, etc, etc. Yeah, it can get kind of chaotic, and also some hood Rumpos will spawn and try and attack you. But they're not really a big deal, they're just like more of an inconvenience than anything. Next up is Toyminator. So this is, you know, it's kind of a pain in the ass mission, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know exactly how it works, but it's one of two things. So usually in the original, there's 3 security cars that you have to blow up, and you get given these RC toys, these like little RC bandit cars, and you've got to go and blow them up because they're strapped with explosives, right? It's very similar to the RC missions that we've been doing, the ones that haven't been modified. Also, watch out for these guys because they spawn around the van for some reason. But yeah, so it's one of two things. The spawns are either random, or they have like patterns similar to Bling Bling Scramble, because they don't always spawn in the same place and they don't always drive the same routes. But what I would recommend doing is, I would recommend, if you see one to like the south or the east, I would recommend going to this first, because in my experience, this is the one that starts off on like the bottom part of Shoreside Veil, you know, bottom part vertically, as you can see, like you're under where you started. And this is the one that if you don't get rid of it straight away, it will drive towards the tunnels. And as you can imagine, if you're in like the middle of the map, the entrance to the tunnels are only on either one side all the way at the end or the other. So you lose so much time going into the tunnels trying to chase them down, because you can see the bandit cars are not exactly fast by any means. So yeah, just keep that in mind. And with this particular scenario, the way I was able to pass it was, I could see that the guy all the way up north was driving east. And what that means is if you've just done that bait mission, you know there's the road that you go all the way up top and then drive all the way east. Like you can only go east, you can't turn off at any point. So what I did was I decided to go for the guy on the west side instead, because he could be anywhere at this point. Whereas because the guy on the east side is on that northern road and he's driving east, the only thing that he can do is drive, you know, go all the way east, then turn south, then turn west and come back on himself. So he's going to be driving towards me. So if I were to go for him first, this guy is driving away from me, if that makes sense. Like, it's kind of hard to explain, but I hope I'm doing a decent job. Make sure you don't drown your buggy. That would be very bad. That was a very risky jump, but it's worth it rather than driving around, I think. But yeah, so you blow this one up, and then obviously you teleport back to where the van was, and with any luck, this guy will have driven sort of closer towards me, which gives me a lot more time to shoot him. And as you can see, it worked out, because he's now further south, and he's driving west again. So what that means is he's driving right towards me on this main road. So it allows me to blow all 3 of them up in time. But yeah, this mission might take a couple of tries, because it's honestly a huge fucking pain. Next up is CBT, Car and Bomb Torture. Get your mind out of the gutter. This is Rig to Blow. And this one, before patch 1.6, another reason why I wouldn't recommend playing on any previous version, was almost impossible. It was essentially just a complete luck fest. Because as soon as you gained control of the vehicle, you have to drive a blister all the way to Portland. And it was actually affected by bullet damage. And as you'll see here, there are gang spawns that spawn everywhere around Shoreside Vale. So you would get in the vehicle here, you would get shot at by a gang member, and you would blow up instantly. Now, as you can see, thankfully, it's not affected by bullet damage anymore, which is very nice. So, drop down there, try your best not to flip, but if you do, it's not a big deal, you can just retry it. And then just drive through the tunnels to Portland. You need to go all the way up north, up east even. You came from north. No, you know, ignore my directions, I'm terrible. Please excuse me. All the way east and up the hills. Again, these shotgun guys will shoot you, the Uzi guys will shoot you, the pistol guys will shoot you, but it doesn't really make too much of a difference. And as soon as you get into the garage, the timer is done. So that, like, you know, section where you have to be quick is over with. Now, you have to get it back to Shoreside without getting a scratch on it. I would heavily recommend not caring about the damage of the car until you get back to Shoreside, because the chances of you, like, you know, dealing with it without damage, getting it all the way back across the map is basically 0. So instead, you can go just next to the bridge. It's just the western side here, the first building after you come west on the bridge on Shoreside Vale. You can see it on the map. It's, you know, not the easiest thing to spot, but yeah, you can pay and spray here. And this is where you'll start your sort of pilgrimage back to the original parking spot. And this is where you can't crash it, so just keep that in mind. You can leave the pay and spray out of the north side, and you can literally just go straight across the bridge. And once you get it back in one piece without crashing it, that's mission done. So, before we continue with the payphone missions, we are going to do one more sort of bonus mission. It's the final RC one that isn't affected by the mod or anything. So this, again, works exactly as you'd expect. And it's just behind the sign after you finish Brick to Blow. Rumpo Rampage, all you gotta do is blow up a Hood's Rumpo. If you're not sure what they look like, I'll show you. But they basically look like a modified version of the Mystery Machine from Scooby-Doo, in my humble opinion. Blow one of them up, wait for 2 minutes, mission passed. So first thing I want to say is fuck Bullion Run in this mod. This fucking mission sucks. So the timer will start as soon as you grab a vehicle. So the only way that I know of to make this mission even remotely consistent is to run all the way across to where you need to be. So if you just follow where I go. You can mega jump. If any of you speedrunners out there know how to mega jump, you can mega jump across the island, but you know, obviously this is for people who are using a guide, so it's most likely you won't know how to do that quite advanced, you know, glitch in GTA 3. So assuming that you don't, instead just follow the route that I do. And yeah, we'll be running all the way up north, west across the bridge, down again, and we're going to be going to a little secret warehouse. And once you get to this western side of Shoreside Vale, you want to hop into this warehouse here because it's going to have a nice vehicle for us. A few of you boomers out there might recognize where this is from. Don't worry, we'll be coming back to this later, but the important part is the Luigi cart, because this thing has disgusting acceleration, so it's time to count. You need to collect 30 pieces of platinum, and your wanted level scales on how many you pick up. Don't worry about doing it in several trips. You don't really have time, and the Luigi cart is more than capable of grabbing all 30 at once and still driving reasonably fast. So just do your best to avoid the cops, and yeah, there's several different streets that you can pick up stuff from. So you can head back up the hill, and as you can see, the Luigi cart can do it just fine. So get 30. You can grab a couple of extra if you want to. I do, to be safe. And then, yeah, go and drop them off at the garage, and you're good to go. So, final off-road mission after you finish Bullion Run. If you head back to that pork warehouse that I was talking about before with the reference that you may or may not get, there is actually the final off-road mission there for you. It's very simple. All you got to do is just grab the checkpoints or the pickups or whatever. There's 20 of them, I think. There's also a rampage there if you want to do it. But yeah, Tony Pork's warehouse, or Tony's Pork warehouse, excuse me. There's probably a reference in there somewhere. Nice. That's all the off-road missions complete. Good job. So, the final payphone mission in Shoreside, and therefore for the entire game, is, what do they call it usually? Rumble, otherwise known as No Honor Among Thieves, I think it's called in this mod. And, sick flip. You can use the Luigi cart for this, why not? It's fun. And there is actually room for a passenger, believe it or not. So yeah, go and pick up your boy. You have to make sure that you use the bat, but they will use guns. So this can be quite tricky, but there is a nice little, what's the word, sort of like bonus for you, because a police enforcer will be there. And if you didn't know, when you enter a police enforcer, it will give you 100 armor. So once you've taken a bit of damage and taken a few of the guys out, obviously prioritize the guys with guns, not all of them have them. Then enter the enforcer to get basically a full heal, and then that should give you just enough health to take the rest of the guys out. Alright, so that is pretty much every side mission. You should just have 3 left, I believe. Espresso to Go, Sam, and the Exchange, which is, you know, the last 3 main missions. And then you'll be done with every single mission in the mod. So Espresso to Go is a little tricky, and you'll see why. So first of all, things to keep in mind. There are 2 move stalls. One of them is in Staunton, and it's in the Liberty campus, as you'll see here. This is the first one you should grab. And there's another one which I'll show you later in Portland. But as you can see, once you actually pick up, once you destroy the first stall, then I think you move at like 4 times speed. So it's pretty difficult to keep track of everything. But yeah, would heavily recommend the Armored Patriot for this, because it'll take a ton of damage, you know, that you don't want it to take. And yeah, so Staunton, grab that first stall, then take this route I do, and we're basically just going to go north to south and take the other ones out. Have your rocket equipped, excuse me, so then you can just hop out the car, shoot the rocket, get back in before any gangs or anything like that take notice of you. And then once you're done with Staunton, you want to head to Portland, where the next moved one is. You don't have a ton of time in this mission, but if you want to, you can pay and spray in Staunton before you head to Portland, because you'll take quite a lot of damage here. But it's pretty tight timing, so if you're fast enough, go for it. If not, then you might need to give this a couple of tries. But yeah, head around the south side to avoid most of the gangs, avoid, you know, Chinatown and Triad territory and stuff. And then this one is in its usual place. I would recommend just sort of hugging the sidewalk. I don't know how that didn't count. I guess I just slightly missed, but yeah. This guy is a huge pain in my ass. Cost me like 30 seconds real time because of the fact that we're going at 4 times speed. And then this is probably the hardest one to get to. It's in Hepburn Heights, and you do get shot quite a lot. So just keep that in mind. You know, just try and shoot it from as far away as you can, and then get the hell out of there. Go through the tunnels to the north, and go all the way across to Shoreside. You want to turn off at the airport, and then as soon as you get out of the airport, these ones are in a similar location, so if you're familiar with how to beat the mission from here, then just do that. But if you're not, then you want to head onto this grassy section, and don't stand in the middle of the trees. That's not a good idea. But yeah, you can shoot this one over the wall. You don't need to go all the way to the subway entrance. And then the final one is just in the hospital. So all you got to do is drive up north, and it's right there. You can see it on the map in a few seconds. Nice and easy to get to. Just keep an eye on the clock. So, Sam. This mission is probably one that unless you know how to fly the Dodo, you're going to have a really rough time with it. So you want to drive straight to the airport, ignore the boat and all that kind of shit, because you don't have enough time. Like, this is kind of like a fast strategy, but you need to be quick to get your ass down here, because the plane lands way earlier than it should. As you can see, like, the timer's already expired for me. So yeah, head down, go to the most southern runway, and you'll see a couple of cartel cruisers. You can snipe these guys, but don't wait around too much. You know, you're in an Armored Patriot, so you do have time to take them out. But if you're slower here than, you know, like a minute or so, then I'd recommend maybe just trying to drive past them and just eat their bullets for now. There's another set of guys all the way at the end of the runway, and I try and shoot them as well, but I didn't really have time. So again, I'd recommend not shooting them for now, because they're no threat to you. They're so far away. And yeah, just shoot down the plane, and say, you know, if you don't dick around shooting those guys at the end of the runway, then you'll have a lot more time to shoot that. You know, it's not like there's like a 2-second leeway, like it, you know, I make it look like I have there. But yeah, so pick up the packages. You can do it on foot or in the car. Doesn't really matter. And then you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place because you got 6 stars. So the biggest thing I can recommend if you're in a car is to drive to the Shoreside Vale, what's it called? Pay and spray, and just do your best to avoid the tanks. You know, hug the grass, hug the off-road. But it's not going to be consistent because you're going to get wrecked by tanks. It's going to happen. The only sort of consistent way I could think of to make this work is to fly with the Dodo and crash land into the Staunton Pay and Spray, which is right next to where your objective is. And What I would recommend doing if you're not too familiar with the Dodo, but you know how to fly it, is fly off the runway where you shot down the plane. Because this runway is a lot more risky, especially in rain. You don't really have enough time to properly get a, you know, a takeoff, like a safe takeoff anyway. And as you can see, there's also vehicles trying to screw you. But this is a bit faster if you're a bit more confident. And obviously, you know, you've got infinite tries to give this a go, so practice. So yeah, you want to head slightly south of the marker that you're intended to fly to right now. And just, as I say, as soon as you see the paint spray, like, fly over the multi-story. And as soon as you start seeing, like, the big multi-story car park, you know you're in the right place. And you just need to go slightly to the left of it. And you'll see, like, a big, you know, gap between the buildings here. Just crash land anywhere here. And then, as quick as you can, get your ass into the blister and go and paint spray it to get rid of the 6 stars before the tanks get on you. Thankfully, as soon as you get rid of the wanted level, that's sort of the end of it. You know, there's nothing else to really deal with, so just slowly drive back. There's no traps, no spawns, no nothing. Just drive back and hand in the package, nice and easy. And just like that, we're on to the final mission. So your weapons don't matter. You get them taken away from you as in the normal exchange. And you know, but your health and stuff does carry over. So I'd heavily recommend full healing for this, because this is a gauntlet, let me tell you. There is a ton of fighting that you need to do, a ton of guys that you need to get through, and you only have 5 minutes to do it. And trust me, that sounds like a lot of time. It is not. So get your ass down to the dam as soon as possible. Once you're here, use your pistol or SMG just to take out these guys, because they have AKs, and before we upgrade to the M16 from the other guys, these AKs are going to be quite useful, because obviously it's, you know, better long range. Usually in the original, there is a sniper rifle that spawns during this mission with 5 bullets, but it's not in its usual location. It might be somewhere, but I'm honestly not sure, and you don't need it, so don't worry about it. But yeah, once you get to these guys have M16s, so watch out for this. Luckily, they're not 100% accurate, like in Toughened, so this is a lot easier than Toughened Exchange, but yeah. Take these guys out and grab their ammo, because you're going to need this as well. Grab the M16, there's a guy on the right here next to a barrel. You can either shoot the barrel or blow him up. Kill this guy up top. Again, pick up their guns. The AK ammo doesn't matter too much, but the M16 is what you want. There's like 60 bullets there waiting for you. This guy has a pickup on the left. And then do not continue any further. Head straight up these first set of stairs, because this is where you're going to be going. So go through here, and you're going to be fighting these guys as you come through. So just keep in mind that like pretty much every single entranceway is going to have people. Keep your M16 about you. Don't use any other guns at this point. Try not to be too liberal with your ammo usage, because obviously there's a lot of guys that you would kill and you don't have too much ammo. But yeah, just focus on sort of shooting, you know, running and jumping about, sprinting as soon as you know, sort of the coast is clear. The coast is clear. There's a guy here on the left-hand side, so watch out for him. Because a lot of these guys have, you know, AKs, shotguns and stuff, so they will do quite a lot of damage. There are some guys below you there, but you don't need to go down there, so just keep on running. To say, we haven't got a lot of time here. So this is sort of like a mini boss fight with Miguel, but Miguel is basically just another guy with an M16. He's no real threat to you, as long as you just sort of, you know, take your time and shoot them as we go. So here there is going to be an armor spawn, which is nice. There's also a guy on the right-hand side with a shotgun. You can't really bait out his shots, so it's kind of just luck whether he shoots you or not, to be honest. And then, yeah, slowly start dropping down. Say there's an armor spawn here. Sometimes people can rush you as you drop down, so just keep that in mind. I had it once where 2 guys, yeah, these guys, were like right on top of me, and I got wrecked, so just keep that in mind. And yeah, kill Miguel. He's pretty accurate, so I'd recommend taking him out first. The M16 has disgusting range, so don't worry about that. And yeah, just take all these guys out before you progress. Again, you don't need to go down here, so these guys you don't need to give a shit about. We can deal with them later if needed, so it's really not a big deal. All you need to do is just, again, keep going around, blow up any explosive barrels that are near you, because, you know, just to be safe. And then we're out onto the roof. There's a couple of guys waiting around, but again, they're not really much threat. Just focus on the time, because, you know, you've only got a minute, so just, you know, keep that in mind. And then once you've dealt with everyone, go and grab the rockets. Watch out for the explosions. I almost got wrecked there. And shoot down the helicopter. Obviously, Catalina, you probably know this, but she's on like a rotation, drives around. So just shoot down the heli, and then we need to go and get Maria, but she's back inside. So once you shoot down the helicopter, get your ass back inside. An important thing to mention here is that once you shoot down the helicopter and like Catalina dies, or, you know, doesn't die or whatever, because we don't know, you know, as soon as she hits the ground and the heli actually properly explodes, then the timer stops. So at that point, you're no longer on like a big rush for time. So just keep that in mind. You can take as long as you need to blow these guys up, as you can see. Or not blow them up, but shoot them. You probably don't even need to shoot them, because as soon as you get into range of Maria, the mission passes. But, you know, why risk it at this point? And then make sure you do a sick little 360 for the end of it. And as soon as you get next to Maria, that's mod completed. All 73 out of 73 missions. Congratulations.
Residents in Cedar Grove have been coming to terms with the emotional aftermath of a full-blown war that hit the area yesterday.
So, congratulations on completing all the missions in Tightened Thrice. And thank you for watching. I hope this helps you if you're looking to try and, you know, beat all the missions and you want some strategies and things like that. Or if you're just here for entertainment purposes, then I hope you're entertained. I will be making another one like this for Tightened Vice. I'm currently in the midst of recording footage for that, as I'm also working on this one, because for some reason I never made it, even though I've done the mod millions of times at this point and done speedruns of it and stuff. I've never shown you actually how to complete all the missions. So stay tuned for that. Thank you very much for watching. Of course, you know, if you like this kind of thing, I make plenty of tutorials. You can find them on this very channel. Check them out, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. Also, quick footnote, there are custom credits in Tightened Vice and Tightened Thrice, but I can't show them because it's copyrighted music, but you should listen to them on YouTube or in your own playthrough because they're funny. Anyway, see ya!